Hello all and welcome to Face the Music! Tonight we're getting down with the metal as we rip and tear until it is done with Doom and Doom Eternal! Yes! So get ready to rock out with us as we go over some really cool music. I'm Caraisamime and I'm actually joined today by maybe a world record holder, Dangerous, to run Doom 2016. We're gonna run the Legacy run, which Dangerous is very comfortable with. So, hi Dangerous, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Hi, I'm super excited to headbang, honestly.
I can hear it in your voice and the enthusiasm. It's resonating through. So, but yes, hello everyone. I'm Dangerous. I've been on Hotfix a few times. You might recognize me. If not, this is my very first speed run back in 2018, Doom 16. So you're gonna get to see me in my comfort zone today. But we will be doing Legacy as a speedrun category. Although I'm going to tweak the route a little bit to account for the fact that the Legacy run kind of skips some stuff, and that's not great for a musical showcase. So we're going to play through some places, and we're going to do some skips of other places where we don't necessarily need to do things. Now, we do want to kind of highlight this main menu music right here. One thing to note, though, this is going to sound kind of blasphemous to a lot of people. So when I do runs of this, I mostly run 100%. That's kind of my main category. And when I run it, I have my settings set where I play the music at 50% volume. I know that's kind of messed up to some people, and I'm sorry for that. But I play it quiet because I need to be able to hear like the kind of the enemy audio in the background, like hear where, like I need to hear the audio imaging of where the imps are and all that. And I leave the sound effect volume at max volume, but we're not really doing a speedrun showcase today, so.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
We switch it up today, I think. Yeah. So we wanted to highlight this main menu music because this is like a really cool. It's not like a super gritty, like a headbangy track, but it's like this really cool ambient kind of tone, and like right there you can hear it in that little like. And I don't know how I don't know how Mick Gordon made this, but it's like this. I have to assume he just used a synthesizer for most of this. This ambient noise, unless he did something else with it, I don't really know. But I love this.
I mean, that's definitely
eerie.
Part of the synthesizer. Yeah. So, fun fact about this menu theme is actually 7 minutes long, and it was made specifically for a E3. No, a QuakeCon demo. Yes, if they got a 7-minute demo, so they needed music for it. So that's a fun fact. So that was, if you played that demo, if you got to go to QuakeCon, this is what played. But if you want to start whenever you're ready.
Sure. All right, so let's jump in here. I have to adjust a couple settings because otherwise things are going to go, things are going to get annoying with tutorials popping up and other gameplay stuff that's not fun. So what kind of funny thing about this opening dialogue is they say that this dialogue is spoken by the Dark Lord. If that is the case, it has been extremely retconned because this is not what the Dark Lord sounds like in Doom Eternal at all. But this particular track they play right here is really cool because there's a really nice natural build until we get to the elevator, and that's when we get the it's like you can hear that high-pitched noise. So time's gonna start right now. All right. So in the Legacy category, we are not allowed to go through walls and skip stuff. Well, we're allowed to skip stuff, but we're not allowed to go through walls and whatnot. So I actually have to kill those guys, even though there is a way to get out of bounds right here.
We have to contain this.
We're stuck in this room, so I just get inside the hologram because it's funny. And then 100%, we go to bounds, we get over that door, so we don't actually kill those zombies. But we go over the door, interact with the suit, and then we actually reload checkpoint and do the same skip twice. They do the skip once at any percent. We have to do it twice at 100%, which is really annoying. But yeah, we have to reload checkpoint right there on that little. I don't know how to describe that noise. It's like a
click. Yeah, I guess.
It's like a weird clicking noise. I don't know how else to describe it. It's really strange sounding, but this is cool. They crust the music really nicely right at the end of this. As soon as he throws the screen away, you can hear kind of hear how the music has like a natural build to it, where it's sort of like action time. You're moving. But yeah, the ambient noise is so good here.
Until the Resop satellite is brought back online.
Welcome. I'm Dr. Samuel Hayden. I'm the head of this facility. I think we can work together and resolve this problem in a way that benefits us both.
I work with no one, Sammy boy. You were mistaken. So this is the hallway where they teach you how to glory kill, because that's a brand new mechanic that everybody stole after this game came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we are... oh yeah, if you don't kill those zombies, they hit you through the door. Because collision in this game is certainly something else. All right, you're going to hear... standing right in front of my gore nest. Please move, gentlemen. Whoop. So you can hear the kind of the thump of the bass on this one. Come on.
It's so cool that
these guys are not cooperating today.
it's so cool that like the first track too starts out like decently buildy simple with what they're going to show you.
Yeah. Come on. And yeah, this track is I believe it's called Flesh and Metal, which is a great name for a track in a game like this.
Well, there's a lot of blood and you know it's a very ship thing.
Yeah. Alrighty, so that's the fight. Kind of a bad fight speedrun wise, because nobody stayed put for me, but it's all good. Now when the fight's over, this is like a recurring motif with how they set the music up. Is like once the fight's over, they kind of cut the music, but they keep it really low in the background, and then they're gonna build it up again in just a second during this cutscene right here.
To take full responsibility for the horrible events of the last 24 hours, but you must understand our interest in their world was purely for the betterment of mankind. Everything has clearly gotten out of hand now, yes. But it was worth the risk, I assure you.
That iconic riff. Oh, it's so good.
What are we, 3 minutes in? That's sick.
Yep.
And you just go straight in. Yeah.
And then the thing that I thought was really cool about this was like, you get out of the elevator and they just cut that entirely, and they sort of make it feel very desolate, like you're on Mars.
Oh yeah.
This is an empty planet, and they like did such a good job of like pairing the level of music with kind of what they wanted you to feel. And I don't know if that was like mixed job, or if that was the audio arranger, or who did that, but they did it really well.
This is one of my favorite tracks because it's early on in the game. It feels alien already. You're getting you're hearing for the first time all the sounds that you will make as a character as well, and it fits so well with it. Like the sound design is so hand in hand with the game. It's insane. And you know, like you were just saying that like I don't know how they did this. They chose to do that, and oh wow, you got a secret. Look at you. And this really shows that this game was a sound team. You know, you have your composer, but then it was, you know, in charge of how they implemented it. So the composer is Mick Gorgon. He's an Australian dude that makes some really cool music. And we're going to be talking a lot about Mick Gorgon on this show. So he had about 3 other people that he worked with on the sound team. And basically what he did, he was talking about how he would send, like, your full-fledged combat tracks, and he would send those off, and he would be like, here's your combat, and then he would send like your kind of like in-between stuff, and he would send that off, and he send it to the sound team and say, here, use it how you want to. And so it was like that mixing of implementing like when to do what. That is like a lot of the magic of the game.
Oh, there we go. That is called fire skip, and it is kind of tricky to do because it requires jumping on that piston and leaping off at kind of a weird angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, while avoiding getting hit, which we're on the
Yeah.
easiest difficulty because, it's
Why not?
a speed run. It's like I'm not gonna throw on nightmare difficulty for a musical showcase. That seems silly. Do you want to hear the beginning of this music 30 times as we die in the same arena over and over?
Yeah.
I say that ironically because my first category was 100% Ultra Nightmare, which is the hardest difficulty permadeath.
Yeah.
But my point stands. Like we're not speed running exactly today, but I saw that question pop up a couple times. We're running Legacy, so it's restricted, but it's not completely glitchless because there's no way to make a completely glitchless category for this game because
I have added a tracking component to your dossier.
out of bounds is really hard to define with a game like this.
Okay.
Just kind of a fun little thing about this. There were people that complained about that and wanted to make a glitchless category early on, but they couldn't agree on a rule set. So, yeah.
Okay.
So this is, and just to prove the point, this is going to be our first big out of bounds if you don't count fire skip. Interesting. Oh man, it's the GDQ thing just happened. There we go.
You get hit the button? Yeah.
Oh, okay. That one was entirely on me. I will take the blame on that one because I slid over too far. I'm stuck.
Okay.
The GDQ thing of, boy, that the occurrence of that is rare to the point of never actually having happened previously.
That's interesting that the wall was so high up that you needed to jump on for the out of bounds too. It's like it's interesting to see how the assets are drawn into like what the out of bounds actually is for this.
Oh, here we go. All right, here's your next audio track. That was not supposed to be what happened there.
Are you supposed to glory kill lists this run? Waste time?
No. It's, I mean, glory kills are technically slower, but there are cases where we sometimes do it just out of like, not necessity, but it's a little bit easier. Good Lord, I can't. All my stuff's on cooldown.
So I'm assuming you just got the upgrade because you hit the guys, like 3 guys in a row or whatever the shotgun upgrade is. Is that something that's supposed to happen? Like that's in the run that you have specific points where you get the weapon upgrades, or
yeah? So it's you could do it with just a regular pull with shotgun, but it's really difficult to do that. So instead we get the explosive shot upgrade in the last level, and that's what lets us do that. Now we can technically skip this section. We just jump over onto here and we jump onto this, and then we could just literally jump to that ledge. But this particular arena, this is called Skate Park, which was what the developers called it in when they were making the game. Probably the best showcase of the music in this level. So we're gonna do this fight.
Let's party.
I haven't done this fight in probably 2 years, so because we literally skip it in every category. So you'll notice it's the same track as the fight in the one fight in the last level, but for some reason it just plays louder in this one. I'm not sure why.
That's fine. It's a design. It's by design, you know. Yeah. Amping things up.
Someone is alive, and I don't know where he is.
Oh yeah, everyone. I think Doom is actually on sale on Steam right now. This one's $4 currently. The next day, whenever that ends. Maybe it ends at midnight tonight. I'm not sure.
All I'm saying is this is my favorite shooter of all time. So if you can get it for $4,
It's cheaper than lunch. Cheaper than lunch.
Cheaper than lunch. And it'll last longer, too. Hello? Okay, so remember what I said? Collision in this game is weird. I'm holding forward right now. I am holding the forward key. Currently at this moment.
Okay.
Truly, this is a game. It is my favorite shooter of all time, but it is not without its flaws, and Collision is one of them.
So, I have that. I've been to PAX East like a ton of times, and Bethesda and id are there a bunch, and I got to play like the new Wolfenstein for the first time and all that fun stuff. So they gave me the key that they use, right? It's on a keychain. Man, that thing is pointy as hell. It is so pointy. Like, why? It's very, very thin and flat, but it's so pointy that every time I was just like, ow, ow. Like, I don't know who made these. It was a bad design choice for your 30-cent swag. It's fine.
So you can actually skip this fight by just running right past everybody, and then most everybody took the elevator on their casual playthrough, but this is actually the secret way, and it's faster, so we go this way. I love that. Cut the combat music out.
Yeah, it wasn't prepared for you.
They do a really good job of blending. Yeah, that was the thing.
I'm blocking your access to the facility scanner. Come to the Vega terminal.
And very annoyingly, this cutscene is frame locked to 60 FPS until you get into the elevator, which, when you're playing at 200 FPS, suddenly going to 60 is, it hurts my eyes. So,
you're gaming in the future.
Yeah.
Everything will be 200 FPS.
Yeah, no kidding. So I'm going to, there's actually a skip you can do here. This, if I can actually get the jump proper. Here we go. There we go. And then I'm gonna jump up here. And then this is Legacy, so we're not allowed a rail boost. That is a little bit of speed tech that you might see me accidentally do. Gentlemen.
That was sick.
Stop punching me.
That was really cool that you glory killed him and then immediately hit the button, though.
Thank you. So I'm going to grab this because we're actually going to use this to do some skips later on, as well as just regular combat. This is a nice little weapon to have once it gets a mod attachment to it. Now you can actually skip this cutscene that we're about to watch right here. There's a way to, we call it a paper clip, and you can go out of bounds. But in Legacy, that is banned. So I'm going to abide by the Legacy rules as much as I can until I sort of need to skip something important, or something not important, so that we can spend our time on the things that are important. This is a 2.5-minute cutscene that plays after this.
I was going to say, that's so long. Do you want to talk about how you got into running Doom 2016?
Sure, yeah. So yeah, this is my very first speedrun way back when. And back then I was, this is in 2017. I was watching a guy on YouTube named Bite Me, who... because I was trying to beat Ultra Nightmare, like the Ultra Nightmare difficulty. And if you don't know, Ultra Nightmare difficulty is Nightmare, the hardest difficulty with permadeath. So you have to do the whole thing without dying once. It's very difficult to do. And I was trying to do it on PlayStation 4, and I couldn't beat it. So I was looking up things on the videos on YouTube, and I found this guy named Bite Me who was doing these 100% Ultra Nightmare clears of the game. And I was leaving a couple comments on his videos, and he started responding to me, and he was like, "Hey man, you should come follow me on Twitch." And I was like, "Cool, yeah, definitely. What's a Twitch?" And then
it was downhill from there. Then you didn't
know. It was all downhill from there. And then it was
no
like it was funny
longer
because
have a life. Yep.
Yeah, at that point in time, he was streaming for like 15 people average, and later on he got partnered. Funnily enough, after he did GDQ 2020, which is where he showcased this game, I think it was the first time 100% had been shown. And when I first followed him, he was streaming like for 15 people, and I was like, like, I want to try doing this, where I stream my attempts of beating Ultra Nightmare, and I finally beat Ultra Nightmare. And as that was happening, he was getting people coming into his chat being like, "Hey man, if you do this, you could do this a lot faster." And so, because back then he was doing these attempts that were taking like 4 hours, and just like we're rerouting and strat finding, and I didn't realize what we were doing at the time, but that was speedrunning. And eventually I started doing it as well because, oh, that's excellent. So let me show you the shortcut. So you're supposed to run around the side here, but in order to save 1 second, we jump over this like that. That's supposed to save a second if you don't screw it up like I did. Excellent. Yeah. Unfortunately, Byte does not stream anymore. He has wiped most of his social media presence because he is a father of 2, and he does a job that really should be split between 5 people. But
oh boy,
yeah, poor guys. he pops into my chat still sometimes, but yeah, I hope he gets a break soon. By the way, this is Frank.
Hi, Frank.
Frank's not having a great day.
Yeah,
Frank,
his eyeballs are kind of almost still there.
Yeah, and his skin is gone.
He's happy to see you, though.
He's very happy. You can see he's smiling. So I'm going to do one little piece of speed tech. This is actually allowed in this category. So what we do is we load checkpoint here, and then when we load back in, the door is already opened for us, which is nice. Now, if you hit the mod button and then grab the mod bot, we just picked up this mod. You don't have. Not only do you not have to punch him, but if you load checkpoint again,
you get another one.
You can get another mod.
What?
And we abuse the hell out of this in 100%. We actually grabbed this same mod bot 4 times in 100%. Because we can. It's really funny. So you're gonna have to trust me on this one. You're gonna have to trust me. Trust me. Whee!
Good job. Oh yeah. Oh, that's magical. Because you would have died. Oh, wow.
No, you wouldn't have died. But you would get the hard fall animation, which is
yeah,
slow and costs about 3 seconds. Come on. Yeah, they keep the same battle music of it's a combination of Flesh and Metal and Rust, Dust, and Guts, that was the one that played during the first arena in the UAC. Yeah. Sorry, the second arena, the first outdoor arena, I should say. And then that one was Flesh and Metal. If I'm not mixing up my tracks, which I very well could be. They do sound a little similar, so it's sometimes easy to mess them up. And also, given that I normally play the game with the audio, the music audio at half volume, doesn't help things there.
Is it easier when you're speedrunning to hear where everyone is with the spatial audio and to have it
that's exactly why I turned the music down. Like, I still need to be able to hear the music in some places to kind of know where, like Cadinger Sanctum in particular, level 6 is a spot where I really actually need to know where the I need to be able to hear the music in order to I forgot to grab the plasma rifle. Whoopsie. We normally get that in a different spot in Hundo, and I just de-rusted Hundo recently for a marathon, so I'm probably going to accidentally do some of those strats once or twice. But there's spots where I actually need to hear the music because I need to know kind of where the audio cues are. I was about to grab a token, which I don't need yet. So I have to have the music on at least a little bit, but I definitely turn it off because I need to have the audio imaging of knowing where the demons are at varying points, because without that, I am going to probably get smacked once or twice. I'm going to go for an animation cancel right here. Very nice.
Yeah.
So now in Legacy, we actually load checkpoint once we grab this this key card, and the reason why is because grabbing that key card spawns into Hell Knights. I'm actually going to do this strat. Actually spawns into Hell Knights, but if you reload checkpoint, they disappear. In 100%, that is very bad. But in Legacy, we don't care about combat ratings, so we are going to try to shortcut that if at all possible.
That rules.
Oh. I just did. So yeah, normally you'd have a Hell Knight right here and another one over there. They are gone. So that is very nice for us. Now I'm going to, actually real quick, I'm going to go grab the plasma rifle because I meant to grab that before. And I would like to have stun bomb because that is actually quite a useful little weapon to have when we go into some of the later levels with the bigger demons. So we don't normally grab this one. We usually grab it in mission 2, but we did the legacy route, not the hundo route. I get these routes mixed up so often because I'm so used to doing hundo. And then I do legacy for like a marathon here or there. And I'm like, wait, what category am I running again? I always goof that up. So I'm going to unequip this mod again, re-grab it, and I'm going to grab stun bomb. I don't need that codex, but I grab it out of habit because hundo, muscle memory. I should have just ran 100% for this.
Yeah.
Can we have a 6-hour show tonight where I can just run hundo and?
Is that how long the 100% is?
No, hundo's about 2.5 hours for classic. Well, actually, both legacy and or classic, classic and ultra memory both are about 2.5 hours RTA.
Is that your favorite category to run?
Oh yeah, it's the category that makes you stupid powerful by the time you get to mission 5.
Okay.
And then you're gonna see it later in even in this category. We call it the delete button, where I can just subtract demons from the play area by looking at them and pressing 2 buttons. It is heinously stupid and incredibly fun to watch. Sir. Thank you. All right, so if we load checkpoint here, this is a cool little strat I found one day by accident. If you load checkpoint here, you actually spawn outside the room. And when you remove loads, that's kind of nice. Excellent. I missed him. That was very brilliant on my part. Dude, you gotta go away, man. This is a speed run we're doing. I'm gonna unequip that. I'm gonna grab one more mod from this bot. This is remote detonation. This lets me blow up a rocket right behind a demon's head, which will be very useful for combat in this very next arena. Now you can actually skip this arena as well by just clipping through the wall, but again, banned in Legacy, so we're going to do it this way. Oh, you're supposed to be dead. I'm out of ammo. Whoa. I'm doing a different route here, mostly out of not feeling the necessity to do all the speed strats that we usually do. But this one I'll do kind of how we normally do it. Nade there, throw our rockets. I'm out of ammo. He gives me some
Didn't
ammo.
even spawn, yeah.
Yep. Well, he spawned in, but he died on the very first frame that he spawned in. Because animation cancels. It's actually made up a big portion of how we do a lot of this. A lot of the categories is just figuring out how to animation cancel a lot of stuff, which was really nice because some of them were found entirely on accident. In fact, the drone mod or the drone animation cancel where we could pick up the drone multiple times was actually found entirely on accident.
I believe that.
One day found that one. And then this is another one where if you grab the token and then reload checkpoint before the animation finishes, we now have a token. And we're going to pick it up again.
Oh.
And in 100%, we do this 29 times.
Okay.
We're not going to do this 29 times here. We're only going to do it 5 times.
That's still a lot.
Doing this, 29 is a lot, and it's about 4 minutes RTA, and it's so I'm gonna grab it one more time. Now RTA would be faster to just let that animation play out, but I'm just going to reload checkpoint because that's what we normally do. And the reason why is because we want to upgrade dexterity to quick hands. That is going to, the first level gives us, we switch weapons twice as fast, and quick hands, the second one, lets us climb ledges twice as fast. And that adds up because it's about a second faster for both things. And that adds up quite a bit, actually. When running multiple categories of the same game, what is the hardest part of it? I'm assuming it's just rememorizing the different routes to take per category. Yep, that's the hardest part, is remembering what's the route here. Oh yeah, this music only plays during this cutscene.
Between our world and theirs.
You could not have saved them anyway.
And this track on the OST, I think it's called Authorization Olivia Pierce, because that's like the very first thing she says. It's Authorization Olivia Pierce. Alpha 402. And also, about 90% of the time on Vulcan, the screen doesn't actually play properly. OpenGL plays just fine, but for some reason on Vulcan, about 90% of the time, it still says lockdown. it never changes. We don't know why that happens, but it does. It's very goofy.
Another question we had was,
do
you need high FPS for anything in the category?
In this category, no. In any kind of unrestricted category, like 100% classic, any percent, anything where we don't have a restriction on what skips you can do, we don't care about frame rate. We still play at a high frame rate because playing at a low frame rate is not fun. But in Legacy, we're not allowed to do any kind of rail boosting. And rail boosting, I'll show it off at one point, just to kind of show you what it looks like. But we're gonna do skip here. Fire a few micro missiles, and that damage boosts us across this, which saves about 6 seconds because we can skip all the mantling. I'm gonna actually grab this rune, but then I'm not actually gonna do it just to get the weapon upgrade point there, because you can get that pretty easily in that spot, and it's nice to have that early on. Hello.
Yeah.
I was stuck. Oh, you're also gonna get new combat music in this level. They changed things up because the first couple levels, they only play like the two. Oh yeah, and if you why are you in here? It's weird. So we're going to rock up to this guy. The barrels are blown up. I don't like that, so I'm going to take him out. Got him. Cool.
I haven't played these games in a while, and the Hell Knights still like scare me, fill me with anxiety. It's just it takes so much for them to die.
It's weird because they have no eyes in this game, but then in Eternal they added eyes.
Yep.
It's very odd. So you didn't get there we go. You don't get this combat music in that first arena, but you get it here because it's the first like gore nest, and boom. They wanted to highlight the gore nest. This is why you don't blow up barrels right next to yourself. That's foolish and unwise, which is why I did it, because I am foolish and unwise sometimes. There we go. And right there at the end of that fight, that's a good example of blending, how they kind of blend the audio in such a way where they transition really nicely from combat music to ambient music, back to combat music, back to ambient music. And they cheat a little bit when you go into combat because there's usually some other outside noise, like ripping out the gore nest, that covers the cut, which is kind of smart on their part.
It is. It's really just well thought out on the sound team.
Yeah.
Like, they did such a good job. There's so many elements that clearly influenced like everything after it. Like, no matter what category you were doing, like what category of game or genre you were doing.
And this level, by the way, is a good example of doing things differently for this showcase because we could straight up go to the end of the game or the end of the level right now. But I'll do this fight just to highlight that music a little bit more because this track is so good. It's so good. But then we'll head to the end of the level after this. That's the fight. So how do you skip to the end of the level? Simply jump onto this rail, jump up here, do a couple of jumps to get over a gap. And this puts you in the last arena. Now, the score nest is not actually here. It's just the textures there. And it looks very incomplete at the moment. So how do you get around that? Well, you jump up here. And this is why you can't really ban going out of bounds in this category. You can literally just jump out of bounds. It's not even hard to do that. So we jump up here. We can slide right across. Now this jump is kind of tricky, and I might goof this up. Uh-oh. Okay, so this is where I get to show off extendo grabbing because I goofed up a little bit there. So interact is going to be on. Just throw that on M. Why not? And then weapon mod is going to be on scroll up. There we go. So that is called extendo grabbing. And it's, if you bind the, where is it? If you bind the alt fire onto one of your scroll wheel directions and you scroll while you're looking at something on a weapon that can zoom, so specifically only the pistol and the scope on the assault rifle. And I think you can do it with the precision bolt on the Gauss cannon, but I'm not actually sure if you can. And then you just spam the interact key. You can actually grab stuff from really far away. There's a technical reason for that, but this is a rail boost. Technically, we're not allowed to do that in Legacy, so don't tell the speed police on me, but that skips a fight that we otherwise would have to do. And frankly, this first fight's a little bit... it's a little bit pointless because we're going to meet the demon that we're going to meet in this level. We're actually meeting a few demons in this level, but we meet the Revenant in that fight. It's just easier to go around this fight and skip this part.
This is
besides, you're too distracted by the bump.
Yes. This is a really good example of what the team did to amp you up for a fight without having the fight music the whole time. So when you enter a level, they'll have like the, like a beat or the guitars, or they'll have like the hi-hats going, or like, the kick. They'll have a couple elements of the song going to amp you up, and then when the fight actually comes in, that's when they get you going. So it's really intentional. It feels like you want to keep running. It is so, everything about the soundtrack is so intuitive with the fact that you just want to go as fast as you possibly can and keep moving.
Yep. Which is great for speedrunning.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't speedrun games, but this definitely playing this and playing Eternal definitely felt like a mild speedrun, just casually playing through it. Like I could see the tech already.
Stop and like head bang a little bit, like like it's something about it just makes you want to like grit your teeth and go like.
Yeah.
All right, so this is another this is a common ambient sound they're gonna play throughout this level. This dun 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 dun. I think they played a little bit later as well in like other levels, but it's really highlighted here because this is the level where you are kind of giving chase to Olivia Pierce and you're trying to like follow her up the Argent Tower. There's a joke that we have in the Doom community because in any percent they literally do a rail boost right to the top of the tower. And Olivia's just there. So Olivia, we joke, has the world record for any percent because she's even faster than we are. But no matter how fast you can get to the top of the Argent Tower, even if you just launch yourself up there, she's already there.
So we had a really good example of in this ambient music that's playing right now because we already hit like the peak of it and it came back down again. So here's the key to how they made all of the ambient music and keep the tension up. If I can find it in my notes. So for my notes for today, I have 15 pages of stuff to talk about. So I'm sorry. It's going to take me a minute to get to the things I need to pull out of here. But we're on a different track anyways.
We are on a different track now. So yeah, this is where you meet the Mancubus. In my chat, we call him Big Chungus because he's a big boy.
Bugs Bunny? Okay. The kids love the Big Chungus.
We do love the Big Chungus. Whoa!
He ran through you.
He did jump through me. And then here's where you can hear BFG Division. This is going to play a couple times. I think it was a bit of a mistake to put this track in this level, to be honest with you, because one, we don't have the BFG yet. Two, they don't ramp up to this track in particular so much. I think they ramp up to other music a little bit better.
So you think it's undeserved? It's like one of the best tracks. It's like one of the best tracks in the game. Yeah, but it just happens. Is what you're saying.
But in my head, I'm thinking like it would be better to play something else here, and then when you get the BFG, that's when you play BFG Division. Because after you get the BFG, when they play BFG Division, they ramp up to it in just the coolest way because they play just the bass first. And then they play the hi-hats in the background. And then they add an element every time you go through a phase of the fight. And then when the summoner comes in, they go head banging hard, heavy guitar, and it's so good. And I'm gonna spend some time on that fight because it's such a good fight. One of the best fights in the game for sure. Yeah,
you should just mod your game so a different track plays during that fight and you'll be fine.
If only that were allowed in speedruns.
Yeah, so, okay, we're in ambient section again. So basically, I did a lot of deep diving into like how all the soundtracks are made. And so one thing that they did in order to keep this tension rising all the time, which we don't hear right now. We'll hear it again all the time. Basically, they use something, we call them endless risers. And what it is it takes the shepherd's tone, which is just a series of notes that goes from low to high. It's just a technical term for what it is. So what he did was he would make these loops where it was just as soon as it hits the high note, it goes back down to the low note. So it never resolves. So it just goes from low to high, and then it keeps going back from low to high, and then that keeps the tension going the whole time. And that's basically how they're like the key to like keeping the momentum and the energy going and the tension for all the in-between ambient parts.
I'm going for a skip here. I have to be fast, though. Got it. I'm stuck. Okay, I'm on ice.
Don't
We're good.
slide off.
We made it. Yeah. So, for whatever reason, you can get some ice physics on this spot. It's kind of strange, but it
wants
happens.
to chuck you, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Vertical movement is treated very, very strangely in this. I could make this jump, but it's very easy to get stuck on that stupid little bit that's jutted out. So I'm gonna wait to be safe. Otherwise, we're gonna take a big trip down to the bottom of the tower and slam. So because we had to ride the thing around again, I actually ended up on the wrong side. So I have to walk of shame my way back over here.
So, how often have you gotten the world record you had it in 2 categories, I believe?
I had it in 100% for a while, and then Darve came in and ruined my life. So thank you, Darve, for that. I'm just kidding. Darve and I are like really good buddies, so I give him a hard time because he was an old seasoned any percent runner, and then one day he was like, I'm gonna run 100%, and now then he beat my world record by like 7 minutes. The guy is a monster. I'm gonna go for a darn, I didn't get it. There's a glitch you can get here where you can get the hollow nade to kind of jut out of the super shotgun. It's just a visual bug, but it looks really funny. So I was trying to go for it, but I didn't get it. It's I believe a frame perfect thing. And now we got the Gauss cannon. So the Gauss cannon is going to let us go very, very fast because there is propulsion on this one. But even still, we're not going to go all that fast because we do want to highlight some stuff in the run. Yeah, so this is another fight where they're going to play BFG Division nice and loud for you. It does feel a little bit more appropriate here, just because
a bad thing just happened. Yeah.
Yeah, a big thing just happened. Olivia just kind of not blew herself up, but she just went to hell, and you know we're trying to chase her. So we're going to chase her into hell because the stakes are just that high. And yeah, so you want to kill a whole bunch of things. I lollygagged a little bit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the invuln and we're going to jump down the tower. And this is totally legal, even in Legacy. And the reason why is because we don't need combat rating in Legacy, and we can grab this cell while we're waiting for the fight to count down. And then this is going to get us another ammo upgrade, which we very desperately need because ammo is, even though they give you more ammo in this game than they do in Eternal, ammo is still pretty tight in a lot of cases. And boom. And now we're in hell. Technically purgatory. Technically Cattinger is purgatory in the lore, but it's basically hell. This is where you were actually buried in your sarcophagus before the start of the game. So actually end the level in the very room that you were buried in. So this is what I mean about this gun giving us propulsion, is we're going to use this to go through things. And it's actually the fact that we have this gun now lets us, we can skip right to the end of the level. We jump up onto that door, we jump up there, onto that horn, and then we jump right above that little pointy rock there, and then we could just walk out of bounds. And that's totally legal in Legacy, but then we wouldn't get the music of this level. And isn't that the entire point? So we are going to instead do a couple fights here. That's because we're getting new combat music in this level as well. And in fact, I will even showcase one kind of cool thing that we do in Hundo in here. So I'm going to take out this guy. Need you dead, sir. I need you dead, sir. Thank you. Whoa! Red Rover. This is my rock. Why is the next phase not cycling? There we go. All right, so wait. Okay, if you're not gonna die, then you're gonna give me ammo because I sent a rocket at him, but he ignored it. Sometimes explosive damage is just outright ignored for whatever reason. So, oh, I'm gonna showcase this. I actually have to get these rocks to lift up. So this is a case where you don't want to climb these rocks while they're lifting because you can. Nice, my scroll wheel ticked an extra time that I didn't mean it to. If you jump on those rocks while they're moving upward, you can clip through them and fall to your death, and that is bad. So by doing that, we're actually going to get two fights going at the same time.
Yes.
So technically the last fight's still going, but you're supposed to do another fight here. And the blue key card is actually the trigger for this quad damage to form. Go away. And
I love the Caco demons. But I love them.
The Caco demons are the cutest demon.
I love that they just show up in your face.
Yeah.
You just turn around and you're just like, oh, yes. And then I also do like punching their eyeballs out.
Oh, that's the best. And then in Eternal, you can throw a sticky nade in their mouth and they swallow it. It's like a spicy meatball.
I love that you're doing this on this one rock. This is like absolutely how I would play the game. Like just playing it ranged. Like I love, I don't know. It makes me feel so cool.
It is the fastest strat for it because we can just kind of turret everything. But because I don't have my full arsenal yet, I am not getting it quite as fast as I normally do. Dude, you gotta go away, man. This is GDQ. Homie, like... Okay, I actually need a little bit of ammo because I'm out of rockets. Hey, whoa! All right, can I get a small guy?
Oh, no.
You're all big. I need small versions of you. Where's your buddy? Where's the imps?
They're all
gone. Did I actually kill all the imps? Yes, he just floated in midair. So we killed the last enemy for the first fight. So now this gate lowers and we can do this. These guys are not supposed to be here yet. Oh, there we go. And then there we go. And then that gets these revenants to spawn in.
Thank you, ammo.
And where is... There you are. And then we get this one. So technically we're not supposed to have the blue skull yet, but we skipped an entire fight where they introduced the summoner, and this is how we get over here. I'm gonna grab this cell. We actually duped this cell in the 100% run.
Same way.
We grab it 4 times. You have to do it a little bit differently, but it's the same exact principle. We force pause the game and reload checkpoint, and it stays there. We have to do a little bit of shenanery with alt tabbing out of the game to make it happen, but you can do it.
Yeah, is this like, do you play on a down patch, by the way?
Nope, this is all current patch.
Yeah, that's insane. Like, that they were just like, just stack your items on top. That's such a big thing. I feel like it wouldn't be allowed now. They just didn't care. You know, that would be something that we patched out immediately.
I don't think they knew about it because we actually didn't even really know about it until pretty late into the game cycle. Like, this is only something we discovered, I think, in like 2019, and by then they were
so
well done with. They were cleaning up Eternal and getting that ready.
All right. Well, that's a case of good thing we found this out later in life.
Yeah. Well, some stuff can't be patched out. Like rail boosting is. Everybody says, how come they didn't patch out rail boosting? Rail boosting is engine specific. You can't just patch that out. That is, you'd have to change the engine, and it takes a little bit too established at this point to just be changed like that. Even with them updating the architecture, it doesn't always just change quite so easily like that. By the way, anybody who watched the tech demo at QuakeCon 2015 will recognize this arena. This is the arena they showed off way back when.
I might have played this at PAX. I might have done this, yeah. I mean, I was pretty stoked for it.
This is a good arena. Come on. There.
It also doesn't give you any spoilers. It's like, oh yeah, you're playing hell. Like, ooh, yeah. Gee, I wonder.
Yeah.
But like, think about it. You get like a spicy amount of enemies. It's probably a different amount of enemies and types, but like.
Yeah, they always change that kind of thing for the tech demos. I don't think I can get over there quite that easily, so I'm just gonna grab that ammo.
I definitely feel like you're at such a good point. If you think about like how far you've come in the game, the fact that you now get to like platform, you have these open spaces, feels so good when you just have these big guys coming at you.
So we just grabbed siege mode, and siege mode is the delete button. So you're gonna actually get to see the delete button in action now.
Goodbye.
So what I'm gonna do is re-get some of my ammo. I'm going to throw rockets.
Oh god.
And then do that. Now I'm gonna actually dial it up because I normally have it a little bit earlier than this. If you get outer beam, delete button.
Oh, it's a lie, guys.
All gone in one fell
Goodbye.
swoop. So this is the summoner, and she's gone.
I couldn't even register. I saw the red, but I didn't see like what she looked like.
Come on over there. You go. And that's how we delete barons very quickly. Now this is quad damage. So quad damage along with the delete button is an instant kill for any non-boss enemy. So you'll see what I mean right here. Oh, I don't have any ammo. Shoot. All right, that's fine. Yeah, you do need ammo, at least early on. So there we go. So I am, woefully short on ammo, and I need ammo in order to do these propulsion boosts. So come on. So I'll do torch skip, which is a fun little thing. You can jump onto this torch and skip right over here. I'm gonna go slightly out of my way to grab this fuel. That actually skips a trigger to get these guys to spawn in. There's a Mancubus that spawns here, but they're not there because we skipped it. We actually used to do that in a very old version of Hundo, but we have rerouted that thing to hell and back, pun intended.
So yeah, how when did you get the world record for your categories, and what was that experience like grinding up to it and all that?
So in 100%, Classic didn't have any other runners because Bytes exclusively ran Ultra Nightmare. He did not like running anything other than Ultra Nightmare. So it pretty much for a while, 100% Classic was just me. It was just me by myself, kind of trying to whittle the time down. And then Dara came in. So I had world record, I think in like December of 2018. And then Dara didn't even jump into it until I think sometime in 2020. And then he and I traded it back and forth for a little bit, kind of around between 2020 and 2021. And then he sort of took a break from the game. And my current PB, which is a 209, was like the record for quite a while, actually. And then I think in February of last year, so right around a year ago, he went back to it and managed to snag the record back, and at a 202, which was a wild time because he rerouted a bunch of levels in such a way where he had a 4070, I think, or something, and I had a 2080 super, and I literally could not generate. I literally could not generate enough frames to do the skips that he was doing, and I was like, "This is crap, dude. I can't do your route. Like, literally, this is so unfair." And now I have a 4080, so if I had the stones to go back, I could go back and grind my time down a little bit more. But I've sort of moved on to other speedrun projects. I was working for a long time on a little game called Fashion Police Squad, which some of you in the crowd might know of. Oh, I have no ammo. That's not good.
The portal can no longer be closed from this side.
No way! Oh my!
Location in their world we call the Well.
I got stuck on this railing, and that was going to be a GDQ first, but I managed to get out of it. So, fun little thing here: if you bonk your head on the ceiling, you hit a checkpoint trigger through the floor, and then when you reload checkpoint, you're just outside. Just cause. and yeah. So this is a level that doesn't have a like a lot of new music. Speak today. So we're going to actually do a skip that was found, I think, about 8 hours after the game was released, where you can just boost over here and just skip the whole thing. I think we skipped 80% of the level just now by doing that. So yeah, it's a. This was, I think that was found about 8 hours into the game's release by a runner named Blood Thunder, who will be at Awesome Games Done Quick 2024.
Yeah.
So, going to do another skip here. So, this trigger is drawn very tightly around this arena, so I got to really do this well. I'm going to jump up here. Okay. If you don't do that skip properly, that light is not green, it's red, and you're stuck. You have to do that fight in order to proceed. Yeah. So we, skipped, I think, about 80% of the level. So we're actually going to throw some speed on it now, especially because the next level, we're not going to be able to skip a ton of it. There's spots we can skip. And in fact, I'll probably just do Office Skip, because Office Skip is really funny to showcase, even though it's banned in Legacy. Who cares? Just don't call the speed police on me. All right, then that gets us into here, and that is Argent Facility Destroyed. So it's the same level as level 4, but the map is a little bit different because the idea was the Argent Tower blew up and destroyed the whole thing, and then you go back and you have to re-navigate through it. So this is a fun little glitch that I found entirely on accident one day. I was just screwing around because we're stuck on this train until we pull into the station. And when you're speedrunning, you get bored. And so you do silly things like headshot your own hologram. And I discovered that if you do that, it actually will add a point to the upgrade pathing on the pistol and the assault rifle.
Coding is weird, huh?
Coding is a thing. And by the way, that only works on this train while the train's moving. It does not work anywhere else. It only works while the train is moving. because it's something about sideways movement. It's
Okay.
very, very strange.
All right.
Also, this level is particularly strange with regard to combat rating because normally when you kill demons, you get combat rating. However, I just killed a Mancubus and my combat rating is not cycled at all. Combat rating is programmed very strangely in this specific level. We don't know exactly why. I think the B team was working on this one, if I'm going to be honest. To be honest with you, because there's some very odd choices in how they designed both the level and how things work in this level, because it works differently in this level compared to most. So this is a Hell Knight, and he's gone. I am riffing on the South Park joke of we'll put your money into a savings account and it's gone.
Yeah.
We are not advancing enough applicants.
So, this fight will do because this is another one that ramps up really nicely. It's going to the last arena is going to be a better showcase of it, but this is a nice little teaser into it, especially because I'm going to actually do the I'm going to use the Berserk here and show that off. Sir, there we go. Okay, so the Mancubi are dead. We're now going to get I thought you were dead. All right, so now we're going to get the Hell Knights spawning in.
Yes.
And he's gone.
Yes. Oh, so satisfying.
Where is the other one? There you are. So once we take out a couple of Hell Knights, the Summoner's going to spawn in, and that's where BFG Division starts playing. And so now I'm going to grab Berserk. And this right here is the reason why Doom 2016 is the best point-and-click adventure game you'll ever play.
Because you point and click?
You just point and click. If I can find the enemies around me. And what's really funny is there's two runes that you can get in Catninger's Sanctum, which double the speed of glory kills and double the distance at which you can trigger them. And when they're fully upgraded, it triples both of them.
So there is no music playing. Got it.
The music does play. Now, there's a cutscene that normally in Legacy we can't skip. However, I am going to do what's called off a skip, and this is going to be the only paperclip I show you in the whole game, where if you just rub your face against this wall right here, and again, this is banned in Legacy. We can't do this in Legacy normally, but we're going to just showcase some stuff here. That gets you out of bounds. That's an old Doom level.
Yeah.
We're not going to go in there. You can, but we're not going to go in there. And then what I'm going to do is come over here. I'm going to do a big Gauss boost up here. And this gets me in bounds.
Yay.
Now, we're actually going to skip this one by just boosting onto this ledge, jumping up here, climbing up here.
Looking at all the nice pretty textures, appreciating the art team.
From Out of Bounds, yes. Loving what the art team did with this level. And this is going to get us right into the BFG room, which is where we are going to now actually justify the BFG Division music that's going to play in the final arena. And I want you all at home watching this to pay very close attention to how the music builds as we go from phase to phase, because it is so expertly crafted, specifically in this level. Now, one thing that's really funny is they give you this room full of explosive barrels, and I guess they sort of expected you to use the BFG in here, which is a very bad idea because one single pistol bullet or assault rifle bullet or pistol bullet on one of those barrels will just clear out everything. And you don't need to use the BFG on a bunch of zombies, because why would you? Yeah, I have not pushed that button, by the way, in a very long time, because normally we don't push that button. Normally we skip all this. So game, I'm stuck again. There we go. We're gonna get this guy here. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me grab a fuel canister. If I can find one. There we go. So I can show off one thing in particular. Don't do it, Revenant! Don't do it! Don't do it! He did it. I told him not to do it, but he didn't listen to me. All right, so listen, you get that You get just the bass, and a little bit of drum, but not a lot. They don't give you a lot yet. Okay, one Hell Knight's down. Oh, and a little bit of synthesizer as well. Where did he go? There you are. We're gonna get. There you go. As soon as that summoner spawns in. All right. I think we should use the BFG at least once. At least once. Oh, someone's alive, and it's probably a shield guy. Hey, look at that! It's a shield guy. It's always a shield guy. Oh, there's somebody else too. There's 2 of them. That is a rarity. There's who's live? This is GDQ. Stop that.
Lockdown disengaged.
Sometimes you gotta tell him who's boss.
Service elevator.
We were just trying to listen to music. He was encouraging you.
Demonic presence at unsafe levels.
So if you thought we were done, nope, more BFG division. And then it's over.
Presence eliminated.
Not
Ended
a
so
long little
abruptly.
extra phase there.
Yeah.
They go right back to. And then they stop. It's very silly. So yeah, now we're going into Lazarus Labs. This is the final 5 levels, and this is the level that is. It's funny in Hundo because this is the last level where you can get any of the runes in the game. Like you get all the runes between level 4 and now, and then after you get the last rune, that's when you get the first boss fight. Very odd pacing choices they made here, but yeah, it's how the game is. So
yeah, I have a fun fact about BFG Division. So Mick Gordon actually only visited the during the production of Doom 2016. He only visited the office once because he's in Australia and they're in Texas. So he was shown that room, the BFG room into the arena, and he actually came up with the riff in the office as he was watching it, and then like wrote it on the plane ride home. Like it's so cool. I think that he was just like, I know exactly what needs to go here, and then knew immediately.
I goofed up a skip here. I have to reload.
Oh man,
it sometimes happens. So
you're forgiven.
Thank you. So yeah, there's an arena that you normally have to do here. However, the door that you have to go through is open. They sort of open it as like a, here you go, player. But then as soon as you get into the arena, they close the door. But if you Gauss boost, you can go through it. And so we get out of that arena a little bit early. Hello? My jump was getting eaten. I think the imp hit me and stole my jump. Yeah, this level's probably the least broken in pretty much every category except obviously like any percent, which goes out of bounds immediately. But in Legacy and Hundo, there's actually no skips that we can do. We really just have to, aside from that first one, we really just have to play the level kind of in bounds because there's no way to really get out of bounds in this level. In particular, I'm getting stuck. One thing that we can do though is we can hit this checkpoint and then load checkpoint, and that just despawns everything in the hallway and opens the door for us.
Yeah.
So we don't actually have to kill anything in here.
Whoops daisy.
Very odd little programming choice, but yeah, we're going into surgery room, and this is another one that's kind of a cool, like, make you feel powerful thing with the music that plays here. So drop down in. I love this riff too in this track. Uh-oh.
I mean, I am a big fan of polyrhythms, so.
Okay, I'm gonna line you two up. Delete. Delete. And someone's alive. Oh, 2 of you alive. How about you be not alive? Oh, good grief. It's always an imp. There's a running joke, it's always an imp in the Doom community, because if you ever can't progress, the reason why is it's always an imp. Oh, also a fun little thing about this. You watch this guy right here, he's going to be lifted and lifted and lifted and then just die.
All right.
I think they put him in the arena in a spot where he gets stuck, and yeah.
I think they just thought that you would kill him immediately and it would fix itself. They're like, 80% of the players will have killed him already, so it's fine.
Maybe. Oh yeah, this is also banned in Legacy. Pushing that button through the wall is banned. So you have to actually shoot the panel off of the button first before you're allowed to push it. It's a very silly, arbitrary rule, but we had to put it in there for consistency reasons, because it was like, well, if you can push a button through a wall, then technically you can do some other skips that would otherwise not be allowed. And so we had to specify you must shoot the panel off the wall first, then you can push the button. Silly, yes, but necessary for consistency purposes. From a moderation standpoint. We get a nice long cutscene here as well, that we can't do anything here until they cycle through all this dialogue, and this is another like 2 minute or minute and a half cutscene, something like that.
All right, I could talk a little bit. All right,
yeah, go for it.
So okay, well let's get into Mick Gordon a little bit. His first musical influences were like blues guitar, like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix, and so he was saying that Jimi Hendrix and Cream were like the heavy metal of the time, and it evolved into like Black Sabbath and stuff from there. So those were like his influences. Interesting because he never really states that like metal is an influence or any of that stuff, yet he's friends with a lot of current metal artists and other like composers and stuff, so it's just like, oh yeah, okay. So he started playing in front of a crowd at a very young age. At 13, he played at like local pubs, and it taught him how to get reactions out of people with what kind of music you play, and it was his only type of quote-unquote formal training he had. His introduction to video games was having an Atari 2600, where the music was very abrasive and limited. And he grew up in a very small town in Queensland, and someone had put together like a paper ad selling locally a Sagermeister 2, so his parents picked that up for him and his brother. And then similarly, the same thing, they found a Super Nintendo, and they bought it, and the first game they got was Donkey Kong Country, and he states that as like his biggest like musical influence is Donkey Kong Country.
Interesting. I actually did not know that. That's cool.
He said, well, he's a really big proponent of like 90s music because of how limiting it was, and just like how musically you have to make it. And he states a lot because like back in the day, you were given the soundtrack, had a MIDI file to it when you were playing the game, and it was up to whatever sound card you had in your PC playing whatever track it was. So the instruments would always be different, but there would always be like a kick and a snare and a guitar and a bass that would play like the MIDI track, but they were all different. So composers had to like come up with something really musical, really memorable that wasn't gonna sound the same on different sound cards, just depending on whatever your computer had. So he's like a big proponent of like coming up with stuff like that and making it memorable like that, and trying to bring back the feeling of like 90s music. He also, his local pub had a Killer Instinct machine that he tried to find money from older kids and would hang out around them, and then he would have them beat him just so he could play more. And then he said that like when he would get PC games, when he finally got PC games, they used to have like, I actually didn't know this, if you put in your disc for your PC game and you put it into a CD player, it played the soundtrack for a lot of like early games.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I forget what he said, like a couple of them were, but I mean, yeah, so.
I did not know that.
I know. So he said he would literally just be listening like to his like Walkman with like, like a game in it. And then he got Doom. He got Doom and his parents were very scared of it. So he would listen to his Walkman, and he said he first started getting like nightmares about Doom was like the first time like a game had like crept into his dreams, and it was very scary the first time he played it.
Nice.
He said it was like so immersive that he would like dream like that, and same with like Donkey Kong Country. And then he also said when he first played Quake 2, it solidified that he wanted to do music for the rest of his life. He said that was it, Quake 2. And I think that's really cool because, I mean, he's working on all the stuff that he loved as a kid. Like, that's amazing.
Got to work within software later on down the line after being like so heavily influenced by them. It's like, you love to see it.
So he said that specifically for Doom, he was trying to pay homage to the previous Doom games, but also pay homage like to the Quake 2 soundtrack made by Sonic Mayhem. And that's like basically like his idea for what he wanted to do with the soundtrack. And then so when after this game came out, they were asked to do like the video game awards and like play live. And he was asked like within like a couple of weeks to do it, and he was like, well, I can't do it without Sonic Mayhem. And he was like, well, there's no way he's gonna say yes. And then he said yes. He's like, oh crap, now I gotta do this. So then he grabs the drummer from Periphery, Mark Halpern. Yeah, I think that's his name.
Yeah.
And so there was like the three of them. Yeah. And go back and watch it. It's sick. I just watched it again today. There's like a 4K like update of it, so it's like sounds really cool. It features like 3 songs and a little bit more. It's dope. Definitely go watch it. It's really silly. He plays the 9-string guitar in it. It's really silly. He stated a lot that the 9-string guitar is insanely silly, but because it's basically like a bass on top of a guitar, on top of like 4 guitar strings. And he said that after he finished the soundtrack, he actually gave the guitar away to one of his like touring metal friends, and he doesn't know how to use the 9-string guitar like actually in his rig or anything at all. So that's so a lot of it comes from that 9-string guitar sound too. Yeah. Okay. Back to you.
Yeah, so we did a big skip there to skip the, they call it the Imp Room in development. And now we're going to hear a new track from the very first boss in this game. This track is appropriately called Cyber Demon, because it's a cyber demon. And yeah, normally you can skip this cutscene, but then you wouldn't get the music playing the same way, so we watched the cutscene in this case. And I'll showcase this. This is also banned in Legacy, but I'll showcase this. And in fact, Kara, I'll let you pick the weapon I use. So I'm going to fire the BFG round. Now, do you want to use the pistol, or do we want to use the shotgun? Or do we want to use the shotgun? Okay, we can use the shotgun. And pew, 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 pew. Okay, he's dead.
Did it matter?
That's called no, it doesn't matter. That's called the BFG trick, where if you play the game at a higher frame rate than 60 FPS, if you fire the BFG and a tendril's touching the Cyber Demon or any of the bosses, it will just stack damage on every frame, and so you can just drain his health really quickly, which is really funny. Banned in Legacy. We're not allowed to do that in Legacy, but who cares? And then this is oh shoot.
So the Cyber Demon
right here.
Yeah, the Cyber Demon track has a big Easter egg in the bass. So like once we hear it, like
well, you're probably not gonna hear it because we're about to skip the
yeah. Okay.
I can actually not get hit by this guy. He's not playing nice right now.
So you hear it do 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 like that. Okay, that rhythm is where the Easter egg is. Okay, so he was writing this rhythm, which was, I'll get into like how the sounds of this game came up later, but this is current now. So he was getting really annoyed with, he like finished the bass part and he was like, I'm like, which was just the dun-na-na-na, like just the 3 hits and a space and 3 hits. And then he was playing around with a synthesizer. It's called Hammer. It's by Image Line, where you put an image into the synthesizer, and then it kind of reads and generates sounds off the frequency spectrum. And so it's basically like playing what the image is, and you can put whatever you want in there. So because it was 3 hits after another, he decided he wanted to put 666 in there. And that's what's playing. But there's a space in the middle. And in the space in the middle, he said he quote unquote grabbed a really interesting upside down star and decided he wanted to put that in there. So the rhythm of that is, you know, the typical bass that's on there, but then he added the sonic tonality of what 666 pentagram 666 is. And that's the bass of that song.
Nice. Another fact I did not know.
And then, of course, like, news outlets found out about it. He sent it off. He didn't think anybody would ever find it. And then, like, all these articles came out and saying, like, oh, your kids are listening to blah, blah. And it's so funny because you're in hell, like, this whole time. So it's like, what did that mean? Like, the subliminal imaging? Like, it's the whole game. Like, why specifically pick on, like, oh, man, there's images in there. And, you know, if you go through this really hardcore process of, like, figuring out, like, you know, putting up, like, a image to figure out, like, what the image could possibly mean of a track to find this. It's so ridiculous. But, yeah, totally look up. Yeah, and then somebody also brought up Jesus Loves You is also an Easter egg that he put in there. So he wanted to put one of the, like, old, like, if you play something backwards, there's a subliminal message in there. So he did put Jesus Loves You if you play something in mono backwards. Yeah, I forget what track it's on, but yeah. So, I mean, that evens out, right? If you put Jesus Loves You, but also 666, pentagram 666, it's fine, right?
Yeah,
you're even back out.
That evens it out, sure. So this is... I wanted to get into this arena specifically because you're going to get the big battle music for this fight right here. I can't see the pinky. I'm going to assume I got him. I did not. Yeah, not having my full hundo loadout right here is throwing me off a little bit. Because in regular Legacy, we skip this fight entirely. Whoa, skip the entire level actually. Oh. Oop. Wait, where'd he go? Not you. How did you get all the way over there? Billy. And... Yep. Okay. Goodness gracious. Okay.
Yay.
So that's that fight. And then I grabbed that entirely out of habit. So the way you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to ride the thrust pad up and then do some platforming. However, if we jump onto here, and then totally whiff the jump. All right, we're gonna do the inbounds way then. It's not like that's like extremely out of bounds, but so. Alrighty, so now we just gotta wait for this door to open, and oh my God, the ceiling's coming down. Oh no, where do I go? What do I do? What do I do? I guess I can go into this conveniently opened alcove. You could also get on the other side of that pedestal and do it that way, but Yeah, I don't think there's a lot else music-wise in this level so much.
Okay, so hey, let's get to more fun factos. I wonder if I have time to explain. Okay, so when trying to come up with the soundtrack, he was given the prompt that he wanted. So it approached him, and they said in like 2014, and they basically said that, oh my God, notes. I hate, okay, notes, here we go. All right. They said they wanted the most unique and best soundtrack possible. And it's like, oh, great, awesome. And then he knew how
Did they say it with that voice too?
Yeah, he knew how hardcore Doom fans were. So if it wasn't going to be good, he was going to get like, cursed out and all that stuff. So he came up with he said he wanted to design a system that dynamically produced interesting and appropriate musical bits based on the input. So basically what he did was he created this kind of like pedal effect loop chain. And so the instrumentation you hear for most of the game that's not guitars and drums is literally a sine wave, just a wave put through a ton of effects and just messing with them. And then having them loop into each other, having them create these crazy harmonics, putting a ton more compression on it, throwing it into, your mixer and, putting a little EQ on it and all that stuff. So it's really hardcore into it's literally a sine wave, which is like your most basic type of music you could possibly get, which is just a note or a rhythmic note or anything, and it's just taking that from a computer and then putting it through a ton of different pedals. So he had 4 different lines that he put the pedals through, and they would go into each other based on how loud the signal was coming out. One of the parts of the signal was he grabbed like a little tiny like practice mini guitar amp, and he boosted that up to like the furthest it could possibly go. He put a microphone in front of it, and then he put that through some distortion. And then he looped what the microphone was picking back into the amp at a lower rate. So what happened was every time that the sine wave would kick out, if it was like a do-do-do rhythm, like a note like boop, 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 every time that boop, boop, boop would be over and there would be space, it would go, and that's where you're getting like all this stuff. So the boop, boop, boop is literally just a wave going through an amplifier, going through back into itself, just making really cool noises. And that is most of the soundtrack and most of what he used. And it's so freaking cool that and he just immediately like knew that like it's literally just like the nerd's dream to just be like, I get to mess with knobs and just make more sounds. Great. And it shows that you could never have anyone but a guitarist make this soundtrack, because it's so hardcore into just messing with knobs and pedals that it had to be a guitarist that did this. So it's so cool. Like anything that you hear that's like, noisy and aggressive and all that stuff, it's literally just putting a ton of distortion on stuff or finding the cool moments where they found stuff. It's awesome. So originally, so when id Software approached them, he was given the brief that Doom is about demons on Mars. You have a shotgun, and you send them back to hell. And he's like, great. And then they said, no guitars. And they said, why? And they said, because it's silly. Guitars mean memes. That's silly. We want this to be serious. And then there was a note underneath all that in like very small little letters, little font. It said, I love synths. So he was like, okay, well, I can deal with synths. So basically, he had to put in guitar. He realized like it was the Doom soundtrack needed guitar because of the original Doom soundtrack. Like it had to be there. It didn't feel like it. So he would slowly put like 5 to 10% of guitar back into the track and just make it not sound like aggressive guitar. So one of the ways he did that was there was a technique where he was saying that Marilyn Manson's producer used to do this really cool like tape technique where you would play like twice as fast as a higher octave, record it, at a faster rate and then play it back at a slower rate, and it would get this really chuggy, like distorted, nasty sound, which is really cool. So he added that sound, and then he had another plugin that was called Morph, and it allows you to take two different sounds and kind of morph them and take different parts of it to go together. So the way that he convinced it to put guitar in was he morphed this guitar sound with the original chainsaw sound from Doom and put those together, and then he put in a track, and that got him to put guitar into the game.
Yep. And the best part about it was he basically said, "Trust me, bro," and id Software was finally like, "Yeah, no, you're right. We gotta have a guitar in there." like they refused. They did not want to have it in there for very odd reason of, it's a meme. Like, no one's gonna take it seriously. And then it's like, they take it more seriously than you realized they would. And yeah, I love that story. That's one of my favorite stories about how the soundtrack was created, was the fact that id Software told him no guitar, and he said, "Hold my beer."
Well, it took him a while too, and he also said that it was such a good prompt that he said no guitar in the beginning because it would have probably turned out to be a metal album, like a straight up, without him creating this new instrument. And it really showed that he's a big believer of, like, you need to change your process if you want a different result, and that's what he did, and that's what we came up with, and it's really, really cool. Yeah. Okay, back to you.
So now we got the Hellguard fight here, and I forget if this track was created for the Hellguard fight, or if it was created for a different fight that they added it to the Hellguards. But yeah, this fight is a little bit annoying normally. However, we can just do oh no, it didn't work. We can do the BFG thing where we just fire the BFG and then
okay,
hold down the button and drain his health. But the problem is he has a shield, which kind of messes things up sometimes. It didn't work again. Darn, why is it not working? We're gonna make this work. And again, this is banned in Legacy, but who cares? We're not following the rules today. We're playing music today.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Took a second.
Slurp it. Slurp that health.
So we have to wait for him to play through this animation. And that is the end of phase 1. And then the same track is actually going to play in the next level as well, during a not boss fight. Kind of interesting.
So he talked about how he worked on this single track for 5 weeks, and it was just completely all-consuming. And he dreamed of it, and he was like humming it all day long. He was so sick of it by the time he was done. So it shows you like how long it takes. Like, I think he said it took him about 2 years to do the whole soundtrack. So, like, to compose, not even just make the soundtrack, which is a completely different story that we can get into some more stuff. But he had such a good time making the soundtrack. He said that it's so important for a game like to not just take, like, one loop of a song in the game and just put it out there. Is to really, like, showcase it. And he said the whole idea of a game soundtrack should be when you're listening to it by yourself, or you listen to it after you play the game, to remind you of how you felt when you were playing the game, but to be a completely standalone thing. So it was really cool to hear that, and like to see how much fun he had playing it. Yeah. He didn't get to hear the soundtrack completely done. He only visited id once, and then basically just like handed all of his stuff off to the sound team and hoped for the best, and he had no idea if it was gonna be good or not. So he was like working on another project at like 4 a.m. when the game went live in Australia, and he said he jumped on and he watched some Twitch streamers play it. And and that was the first time he actually got to see the game, like, and things done and implemented. And he said somebody got to the second level and they started headbanging, and he said, "Oh, okay, this might be okay then." And that was his reaction. He's like, oh, all right. I think it's okay.
The reception was so positive to the soundtrack. Like, everybody, he was like, I mean, he was well known and well established before that, but like critical acclaim was the name of the game for him after that, and that's where he started getting more jobs. Like, he got booked for the soundtrack for Atomic Heart. If any of you out there played that. So yeah, this game definitely solidified him as the heavy metal guy for game OSTs.
I definitely could see him not just doing heavy metal. Like, he'll definitely be doing other things. Like, he said that one of his big things is that when he's done with the project, you chuck, like, everything that you did for the project. Like, he said he gave away his 9-string guitar, and then, like, he built this little synthesizer rig, and he also just, like, stopped using that. And so he would build, like, a new instrument for the next project. And he said it's so important so that you don't get bogged down in making the same soundtrack every time. So... yeah.
Also, shout outs to our producer who changed the category name.
Legacy.
Absolutely epic.
Some things made me legacy. Got it. Okay. He also talked about how his workflow starts at 4:30 a.m. and he basically works like 18-hour days.
Yeah.
And he does like 2-hour blocks where he just like turns everything off and just works straight and then has a little break. He said it's also super important for him to actually have like a workout routine throughout the time he's working, because then he can make like the long flights and he can do the long days. And it's so important to be like physically active during your day as well. And it's crazy because like I know he has his own studio that he goes to, but to even like 18-hour days is insane. And he was talking about how there's no downtime in between projects because lots of things will get delayed and then you're behind on the next thing, or you try and like plan time in between projects and it just never works out. So this guy's just going hard all the time, spending like a year and a half to 2 years in a project at all times. It's nuts.
Yeah, he's very, very dedicated. And you're absolutely right about the, he doesn't just do like guitar stuff or anything like that. Like Atomic Heart was, I think, entirely synthesized from start to finish.
Yeah.
A wet floor sign stopped me from moving forward at full speed.
Wow. Okay. It did its job.
Yeah, technically speaking. Collision's a thing in this game.
We figured that out just in this run.
Yeah, just in this one run. Go away.
He definitely knew that early on that glory kills were going to be a thing that we're implementing. So he took extra special care to like drop everything out for that too. A big part of what makes the flow work so well is literally just putting like a high pass filter on stuff, like a little pass filter, like both of those. It's, it's the thing that makes it go like quiet and then like sound really thin and then go back to big. And it's such a good way of like implementing stuff, but realistically it's turning a knob on the whole track. Like, it's sick. He knows how to work music so well. Like when he was talking about like the specifics of working a compressor and what he was using, he knew he grew up with such musicality that he's able to like put this stuff on literally noise and make noise musical. So it's definitely something that like I talked about a couple shows ago. We talked about Silent Hill 2 and 3, and that was definitely something that was implemented in those games too, which literally just like the basis for those games was sample packs where guys were literally just running synthesizers against each other for hours and picking out the interesting bits and then putting them on a CD for like everyone to buy and use. And that's how like 90s movies and video game soundtracks and stuff were like made off of these sample packs. So it's still going off that same thing, except he's creating his own samples with this. So it's really cool.
And this is another new track that plays just during this one section, because this is the build-up leading to when we have to destroy Vega, because lore-wise, we have to destroy Vega in order to go back to Hell to stop Olivia, and this is Vega. This is his core. We've totally destabilized it by that arena that we totally didn't skip earlier. See, and we just have to interact with these two little nodes here, pull out the batteries, and then we can destroy Vega and create the energy that we need to get to Hell. And he did this really heavy synth specifically for this because of this build up to this big explosion that's about to happen. But Vega's not going to be completely destroyed because we're going to back him up first on what is sort of a USB stick. Not sure what that is actually.
Hi, buddy. Put him in your pocket. Another fun thing was when he was given the actual like gameplay levels. They were just on it was just a video, and he would put them up on his TV, turn off all the lights, and grab a controller, even though it was just a video, and he would pretend he was playing along to the game and like get into the zone, so he could feel what the emotional climaxes of the tracks would be. And then while he was like fake playing along, he would tap along to on a metronome on his phone to find the tempo of it. So then he had all these notes, and then he would go back and throw those in and be like, okay, like I know what this song's gonna be now. And I just think that's really intense and nerdy to be like, okay, this is game time. Let's pretend I'm playing the game.
That is one of my favorite stories about him developing it, was that he didn't have the game because it wasn't ready. It was just, there was gameplay literally on a video, and he just played it back, grabbed a controller, and pretended like he was playing to be like, what should the music sound like? Yeah. And I love that story so much because it's silly to picture it happening, like just a guy in his house watching a video, holding a controller, and going, what should the music sound like here?
Okay, so one of the ways that the sound design team worked really well with him and that they really put things together is, so you're gonna, I don't remember where you get it. You get the big chain gun in the game, and so it's firing bullets really, really fast, and because it's firing bullets really fast, like it makes a tone, and so they purposely made the tone of the bullets going out be like a low D note, and so then Mick was able to make an entire song in D, and it sounded really, really good, and there was no, everything was really clean, and there was no clashing tones or anything. Like, it just lined up so nice. And he said that that's something that you should always think about when you're working on a project, and it shouldn't just be like an afterthought. Well, this was good timing.
This fight is very odd because for whatever reason, it takes 10 years to cycle through it after you've killed the last enemy, and the last enemy always likes to hide. And I think, there. Oh, good grief! It's always imps. It's always imps.
Hashtag it's always imps.
Yeah, Minifish was in chat earlier, and he's a 100% and 0% runner who has a special abject hatred for imps because of how annoying they can be. Did we get all the imps? I'm listening for a music cue. Something's alive. What? Oh, that's interesting. I've never had a Revenant get stuck there before. An entire phase was not cycling because that Revenant was stuck. This wouldn't have happened if I was playing it quickly. Okay, is that everybody? There it is. Yeah, there's like a little that tells you that the fight is over finally after all this time. So
thanks for showing off the chain gun too. Yeah.
Since we are little over time here because we decided to sit and talk about the game a little bit, we're actually going to skip right to the very end of the game, into the final boss fight right here. So I'm going to slow walk down here if I can. Where is it? There it is. I'm gonna drop down here. I've done this, skipping a little while. Whip out the BFG. Jump onto here. And there are kill planes everywhere in that spot, so it's very easy to die, but luckily we managed to navigate through that. And this is the final boss fight, and this track was created just for this fight. And it's not my favorite, but it is a really good track. I think they made a really good call in pairing that track with this fight. So they do their necessary build-up that they do. This is actually going back to the beginning of the game, in the very first arena. That same track kind of pairs really well in both spots. But yeah, that's, if you remember Doom 1 from way back when. And tell you what, let's just speed through this fight somewhat quickly. That was interesting. I don't know what the BFG hit. Try that one more time. Actually, I will do... dash, please. Thank you. Debuff her. And then there's a weird thing with how her phase cycles, but she basically won't lose more health from that until she goes through this animation right here. But then we throw some micro missiles at her. She stops doing this. Thank you. And then I'm waiting for a visual cue to fire the next round. Okay, she did the animation kind of weird, but we got it. Cool. And then time comes up as soon as we glory kill her after this animation. By the way, you can actually stand on her hitbox if you... she's too far away, so I can't get up there. But you can stand on her hitbox, which is really funny. And time.
Yeah.
Big loud crest. And dispersal. Now that fade out right on that shot. And then you have this like silence, like there's nothing there, and then you get teleported out of here. And then the music that played at the very beginning when we were in the elevator and we punched the screen is also going to play again here as we head into the final credits. And yeah.
You've won. It's over. You stopped the invasion and closed the portal.
And they just play that ambient track right here as well. Like they don't play the big hard stuff yet because there's dialogue going here, but they're going to ramp into the combat music as you exit this conversation with Sam.
You think the only way is to kill them all, leave nothing behind. And you may be right. But we can't just shut it all down. Without Argent energy, it will be worse. I don't expect you to agree. But with this, we can continue our work. I am not the villain in this story. I do
Start to hear the build-up.
what I do because there is no choice.
Rerouting tether coordinates complete.
Our time is up. I can't kill
A little more.
you, but I won't have you standing in our way. Until we see each other again.
And there it is.
Yeah. Woohoo.
And then they play the final credits, which is also really good because it's the same track, but you get this. This is a really cool credit sequence. It doesn't have anything to do with the music, but I love how they made this because it's just such a cool way of doing the credits. But yeah. So I think that is going to be it for Doom 16, but then we're going to be doing Doom Eternal next. That one's going to be much less of a speed run and really more of just a level select showcase of the different tracks. But Eternal's got an amazing soundtrack as well. So that'll be fun to show off, but I think we're going to take a break first.
Yeah. All right. So everybody get up, grab your water, do a big stretch, and we're going to get back to headbanging in just a minute. Welcome back to Face the Music, where we're going over Doom and Doom Eternal. I just have a couple announcements before we get back into headbanging and, kicking demon butts. But yeah, just a couple things to say about AGDQ. Prize submissions are live for Awesome Games Done Quick 2024. If you are crafty or have a unique gaming prize that you would like to submit, go to gamesdonequick.com for more info. Submissions close January 8th. Go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix to learn about our shows and see what's coming up this week. And join us February 17th and 18th for a celebration of Black speedrunning talent. Black joy and because unapologetically black and fast is back. Submissions are now open for UBAF through January 9th. Use the command UBAF in chat for more information. If you missed any of our other Hotfix shows, be sure to check out the VODs on youtube.com/gamesdonequick. Your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel help support Games Done Quick Hotfix. If you enjoy watching Speedruns daily, consider subscribing to the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to press the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, go to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick to watch our shows live. And now we're going back to the lovely Dangerous, who's going to take us through some awesome stuff in Doom Eternal.
Stop it, you. Alrighty, yeah, welcome back, folks. This is not going to be a speed run quite in the same sense that we did a sort of speed run in the last one. We're going to do more of a level select showcase for this one, but we got to play the main menu music a little bit here because oh, it's so good. One thing that's really interesting about this main menu music was we had this was the main menu music at release. By the way, this is on current patch. Most speedruns are done on a down patch of the game originally, like back from like the original release. But we're going to be on current patch today. And so this main menu music plays on the original patch and on the current patch. But after the Ancient Gods Part 1 release, they actually changed the main menu music to something else. To like a different track, and it wasn't a bad track. Like the track was fine, but it wasn't, in my opinion, quite as good as this one. And then when they released the Ancient Gods Part 2, they changed it back. Kind of an odd choice. I'm not sure. I think probably people complained about changing the track, and then they were like, okay, fine, we'll change it back. And they changed it back on the Ancient Gods Part 2. But yeah, kind of a weird, fun little fact about this main menu music. But man, this main menu music goes so hard. So we're going to jump into Hell on Earth. So we're going to start the timer. I'll just start it, just count it down for when we come out of this load screen. So 3, 2, 1, go. Alrighty.
Against all
I gotta play the beginning.
That hell
'cause-
can conjure.
Yeah.
All the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them. Only you. Rip and tear until it is done.
And normally you can skip the cutscene starting here, but I threw it a little bit here because this will actually sound familiar from the last game.
Fall back! No! They're everywhere!
It's the crest.
Casualties range in the billions.
Very light ambiance. The revealing of the Doom Fortress.
Pray that he is watching.
It was like really eerie kind of fade into this.
If you can hear me!
They start to crest back up again.
Attempting to acquire the Hell Priest signal.
Those sound familiar, by the way.
Nearly 60% of our planet has been consumed by the invaders.
We have the Hell Priest signal locked in. The target is marked, but the signal will not hold for long.
For it is he that they fear, not man, or his armies. They fear the mark of the beast.
Now, one thing you might notice is the arrangement is a little bit different this time. It's the same track, but the arrangement is slightly tweaked, and it's a little bit more compressed in this one. Such a good intro. It's such a good intro. Build up. And then they do this crash right before they fade you in. Now, real quick, I actually forgot to share my screen in Discord, so let me do that real quick. Sorry, I goofed a little bit there.
Thank you.
Now we can get started. Yeah, sorry about that. It wouldn't be much of a musical showcase if you weren't able to hear the music playing during
It was just me. It was fine.
during the showcase.
I would just go off your cues. You would just be a really good composer while you're speedrunning. It's fine.
Yeah, well, yeah, I am conducting of a sort.
Yes.
So, by the way, we do have this on Nightmare. I could switch it back to I'm Too Young to Die, but
Why not? Let's have fun.
let's go for this one. Maybe I'll switch it back after this level, but.
So Dangerous, do you want to talk about like maybe your musical background and what experience you have with music or listening to music, all that good stuff?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't have a extensive history of playing music. In 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, I played the viola.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know what a viola is, it's like a cello and a violin had a baby. And that's you hold it like a violin, but it actually plays more like a cello. And
were you like one of two guys in your orchestra?
It was a requirement for everybody in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade to play an instrument. Okay. And in 4th grade, you were required to play strings. You could pick violin, viola, or cello.
Interesting.
And then when you get to 5th grade, you could switch to like a brass. I think they gave you trumpet, trombone, and something else as options. I don't remember. I stuck with the viola all 3 years because I was like, I might as well just stick with it. Then after 6th grade, I never played the viola again, and I don't even know how to read music anymore for the most part. But yeah, back like during high school, and even a little bit after high school, I was actually mostly into hip hop, believe it or not. And then I actually really didn't discover metal until Doom. I think it was my first introduction to metal, and then obviously I wasn't going to just listen to the Doom soundtrack over and over, so I started to fall down the rabbit hole of finding artists on YouTube. Jonathan Young was like a really one that I found that was very influential on my musical taste in metal after discovering him, and then also found oh my goodness, that's his name. Cannot remember his name for a second. And he doesn't do a lot of metal, but he does some metal stuff, and and then I've just kind of been a bit of a metalhead ever since. I don't listen to a ton of metal, and being relatively new to the genre, I don't even have an extensive history of it, which sometimes my chat likes to make fun of me for. But yeah, I'm also going to be doing a lot of things that I normally do in 2016. But a lot of people don't realize this, but Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 handle extremely differently, and yeah, I'm going to probably make some combat mistakes as we go. But we're also not going to probably play the whole level for at least some of these levels. We'll probably skip past a few of them, before we get to the end, just because once you get through the first half of the level for most of these, it's like, okay, we've heard the music for it. We can move on to the next one. This one's a nice one because I really like the ambient track of this one. That nice high. Dun. There we go. And forget what the trigger enemy is for this one. Perhaps playing on Nightmare was a bad idea, given that I haven't played this in a little bit.
What are the main things about how it handles that are different from moving from one game to the other?
The movement's a little bit different. You have the meat hook in this one, which you don't have in 16. There's dashing, which is not in 16. And weapon mod, the weapon mod meta is a little bit different in 16. 16 and Eternal have the same weapon mods for the rocket launcher as an example. But the mods in 16, the better mod is remote detonation, and in this game, remote detonation is garbage. And in 16, lock-on burst is garbage, and in this one, lock-on burst does this.
Yeah.
Just
I love that
them.
sound too. Yeah.
Yeah, nice thumpy bass in that explosion. There were some. This isn't really so much related to the music exactly, but there is something to the sound design choices. this game got critically made fun of because the heavy cannon right here sounds like a Nerf gun. Stop plumbing that. And everybody like heard this heavy cannon sound and was like, why did they make it like this? Like, why does they have this like really like it's just straight up sounds like a Nerf gun, like a toy gun. And that was probably like one of the earliest sticking points that people had criticisms of, even during the original tech demo. Back in
They're just sticking with their choice.
19.
Yeah.
They stuck to their guns. Where? You're underneath me.
So when you listen to music, what is your like typical day listening music experience? You listen on headphones, you listen on speakers, listen in your car?
Usually it's in my car most often, but then when I will play music during the not starting student screen, but like when I go live on Twitch, I'll do like a little intermission thing, like a just chatting thing for a little bit with chat, and we'll play a bunch of power metal then, and with that one I'm listening with my headphones. Whoop, no, I almost grabbed it. Hold on, let me try and go for this. And I died. All right, I'm gonna turn the difficulty down because you take a lot of damage if you void out. Because yeah, so there we go. Now this will be a little bit more manageable. Oh, there we go. I forgot that happens if you die there. You walk forward and then they don't play that cutscene anymore.
How like integral is listening to music? Oh man.
All right, I'm just gonna do this the normal way.
Okay.
Where you jump here, snap to this, and then jump up here. Okay.
Yeah, how integral is music to your daily life?
It was a bigger part of my life earlier in life. Like back in high school, I was friends with a bunch of because I listened to a lot of hip hop back then, so I was friends with a bunch of the rappers at my school, and I did live in an affluent part of Orange County, California, which is not known for its gang affiliations or hardcore rappers, but we had a couple at my school, and I mostly hung out with them, and then sort of moved on after high school, made different friends, hung out with different people, and music's kind of stopped being as much of an integral part of my daily life after that. And then when I went to graduate school, it was weird. Like I used to have like an almost encyclopedic knowledge of music, like the music that I was into back then. And then when I went to graduate school, I don't know what happened, but my brain got like rewired in the weirdest way because I had to like survive grad school. And after that, I couldn't, I don't remember my flame belch button. After that, I couldn't retain lyrics the same way. I lost all my encyclopedic knowledge of music that I had prior. And it's only been in like recent years that I sort of got my brain rewired back to where it was before. But yeah, there's not a whole lot else to this level, so we'll jump into where is theirs.
All right, I can talk about the soundtrack a little bit as we
go for it.
Okay, so once again, Mick was talking about how the main menu music is so important because it said it like if that's the first thing you see and it's disappointing, you're gonna be disappointed with the game the whole time. Like when you go back into it. And it's also like the first feeling that you get. And then he was always under the impression when he was making the soundtrack that it was gonna be called Doom 2. So he went back and he listened to Bobby Prince's Doom 2 soundtrack and listened for a lot of inspirations from that. And so then he decided like in the main menu theme was like the best place to put like samples from the Doom 2 soundtrack into that. So even at one point they didn't tell him the name of the game until he was doing like behind the scenes footage, so that he had to like check himself. He was like, yeah, we're playing Doom Eternal, and because he wasn't sure, he's like, yeah, that's what it's called. right, what other fun factoids do I have before I get to the not fun things?
It's unfortunate because there's some things about this game. If you're not familiar with the history behind this game's musical development, it unfortunately has a bit of a sordid history because this was the game that sort of sullied his relationship with id Software, and it's a really tragic, unfortunate story because we think of Mick Gordon as this titan of music composition, and people said like it's not Doom without Mick Gordon, and I definitely can sympathize with that perspective, but the thing was after Mick was removed from the project, they brought in a composer named Andrew Holschult, and if you've played any boomer shooter in the last 5 years, if you played a little title called Dusk, if you played a little title called Proteus, he did the soundtracks for those, and Holschult is, I won't say he's better than Mick because it's a different style, but held his own, I will say.
I would say it wouldn't exist without Mick's soundtrack, though.
Yeah, that's a very fair way of putting it. Like, Holschult's style, I think, was developed at least a little bit in part. Also, shout outs to Blood Punch for not working. Love it.
So there's
Holschult's style developed very much from Mick's influence. Yeah, agreed.
I would say it's really funny, interesting, ironic at the same time because if you think about Quake and Quake 2, Quake was made by Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails, and that was like who did the soundtrack for Quake 1. And then Quake 2, he didn't want to do it, so then they got Sound Mayhem. I can't think of his name out right now. It's in my notes. Oh, my notes are forever.
I also made a mistake here. I forgot to. I have the music turned up all the way, but I'm actually going to turn the sound effects down a little bit just so we can highlight the music a little bit better. I forgot that I kept the music turned all the way up to max for this one, probably because I never speed ran this game officially. I was a moderator for it on speedrun.com at release, but I never actually ran it myself, truth be told. Anyways, continue.
Sonic Mayhem was the composer for Quake 2, who was a big influence on this whole thing. But it's really interesting because Mick also thinks that the Quake 2 soundtrack is amazing, and it was like his big influence into like getting into stuff. And you'll be like, oh, wasn't Trent Reznor? But it's really, really interesting that like this turn of events like turned into this. So I guess without further ado, I'll talk about the not fun stuff. I like talking about fun stuff on this show. Unfortunately, sometimes developers are not good people. And this is absolutely the case with this soundtrack. So as of right now, which is January 4th, 2024, there is no official Doom Eternal soundtrack. And this is the reason why. All right.
Keeping in mind, this game came out in March 20th, 2020.
And
so
it was supposed to come out November 2019.
Later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, basically, I'll start with the soundtrack came out, and it came out to really bad reception. So what happened was, on May 4th of 2020, the soundtrack came out April 20th, I think, is when it came out. So a couple weeks afterwards, Marty Stratton, who is the studio director of id Software and the executive producer of Doom Eternal, he worked on Doom previously, so that he was part of this whole team. And so the same with the sound design team. They were all pretty much the same people. So he posted on the Doom subreddit in response to many members of the community discussing the dip in quality of the soundtrack from Doom's OST, specifically referring to how Mick Gordon only mixed 12 of the 59 songs, and the others were left to id Software's in-house sound engineer, Chad Mossholder. Chad Mossholder was part of the original team beforehand, too. The gist of the post was basically to dispel that any of this was id Software's fault, and it was all Mick Gordon's fault and his failure to deliver, and said he was unprofessional, unreliable, and two-faced. This letter was called Doom Eternal OST Open Letter, and Mick Gordon didn't reply to 2.5 years later. So then, on November 9th, 2022, Mick Gordon essentially posted a thesis statement with receipts that you can go and find online. It is so easy to find. It is huge. There's plenty of YouTube videos.
Yep.
talking about it, taking bits and pieces out of it to know what the history is, pretty much. But I'll go through it. Basically, what he did was he went through this letter and he went through the history of how he made the soundtrack and just all the problems they had. And at the end of it, he addresses like the 9 points that Marty talks about in this open letter, and he, openly calls him a liar, basically. So yep. Gordon's post is very long and detailed. It paints a picture of unrealistic deadlines compounded by an unclear vision. He alleges that he was asked to produce 2 finished level scores per month, but the details on the level themes, the boss fights, and the developer-intended sound cues were unavailable when Gordon began the work. At one point during Doom Eternal's development, he went 11 months without getting paid. The word count on this thesis is 15,000 words in length, so it's very, very long. When this was going on and he was told that he needs to make a song 2 songs every month, the game was still 2 years from release. He had to do a lot of guesswork, was what was finished, because what was finished did not work for the game, and he had to scrap a lot of it, and it did not respond. He spent a lot of time away in the studio, away from his family, and then the biggest... So there was already a lot of not good direction for what was going on. They told him to scrap a lot of ideas. Marty couldn't be reached a lot of this, so he was just working on stuff and unrealistic deadlines and all that stuff. So then, on June 6th, 2019, during Bethesda's E3 showcase, it was announced that the Doom Eternal Collector's Edition would feature a copy of Mick Gordon's original Doom Eternal soundtrack. The original release of the game and this Collector's Edition was November 22nd, 2019. On June 6, 2019, Mick Gordon did not know he was making the soundtrack to Doom Eternal. This is how he found out.
There is a Sentinel power cord
with all of us at the same time.
So he goes in the length and description on his thesis about how he felt at the moment. To clarify, an OST is not the same thing as game composing.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's like essentially what making OST is, and he is basically like making a record, like in post-production. So everything's written, but now you have to come up with something that you have to edit, you have to mix, and you have to compose a full record. So you can go and see, like, it's really sad and crazy. The Mick Gordon after Doom 2016 and like all the videos he's in and how much he talks about how he enjoyed the experience, and then just like the utter silence of everything that's happened since then. And it's so sad because he talks about how much he loved making the soundtrack for 2016, how he basically made a concept album, and how he kind of had like a track in between each one, meant to like vibe everything up. And we talked a little bit about how he likes to make the soundtracks before. So basically June 6th, 2019, the collector's edition immediately went on sale. There was nothing you could do about it. The standalone OST wasn't in production at all. They never spoke to him or even talked scope, time frame, and they offered him a contract. Marty refused to even draw up a contract for him. His excuse was to not cause a distraction from developing the game composition. He contemplated quitting right after this, but he thought that he would lose more by quitting instead of finishing the project. So then he had to play ball because he could not afford a legal battle with ZeniMax, who's the parent company of Bethesda, who owns id Software. He finally received his pay November 2019. I skipped some stuff. Never mind. Why did I do this out of order? I'm so awesome.
You're doing great.
Okay. It's because I watch so much stuff. Hold on. Blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna get to the contract stuff. Blah, 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 blah.
While you're doing that, I can see if I can go for a skip here.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, come on. This collision on this wall is super wonky. Come on. Oh, almost had it. Okay, I can't get it. So we'll just run it in bounds. It's fine. Because literally it just puts us Right up here.
Okay, so because Mick did not have a contract in place, he waited to work on the OST until he had a contract because he hadn't gotten paid for 11 months. So basically what happened was he had to go, he had to talk to Bethesda to even get a contract written up. And so he had to go over Marty's head over in software to talk to Bethesda. And he basically said, like, I can make a 30-track album, about 2 hours, which is very comparable to 2016 soundtrack. It was shot down immediately by Marty as there was not enough time or money left in the budget to fit the project that size. They started talking in March 7th, 2020, 2 weeks before the game's release and 29 days before the April 16th date of when the soundtrack was due. The soundtrack, okay, the contract that he signed, when he talked to Bethesda and he went up there, it brought up a whole nother can of worms because there was a project he did for Bethesda in 2015 that he hadn't gotten paid for the OST from them yet. So in order for him to even get paid from 2015, he had to sign a contract to do this OST to even see any of that money. So he had to do it. He was to produce 12 songs that id had the ultimate power to veto. He was required to hand over all source files, including stems, raw assets, and mix sessions. And the deadline was April 16th, so he had 29 days to come up with 12 songs. Bethesda told him that April 16th was ideal, and then they would give him more time if he needed it, but was offered a bonus if he met the deadline. Within the day, Marty sent a frantic email stating that the deadline was a must. My favorite part, as consumer protection laws stated that if the consumer was not given their product by April 20th, they were entitled to a full refund of the product. Mick realized that was a threat and that he was now legally responsible for, and that if he knew about the consumer protection laws, he would never agreed to this in the first place. When he finally agreed to do the soundtrack, he realized that Marty had a backup soundtrack started 6 months prior by the lead sound designer, Chad Mossholder, to make a quick and dirty soundtrack just in case that Mick didn't follow through. Obviously, in Marty's statement, he talks about it was a just in case type thing, and they started working on it like very last minute. But it had been going on 6 months prior to this, which is insane. So then Mick got his hands on what that sounded like, and I have some quotes from him. So they sang over the tracks they were working on, and here's some words. They said, the edits had been eyeballed in a slapdash way by copying audio files directly on top of each other without even a crossfade to cover the transition, resulting in clicks, pops, clipping, abrupt tempo changes, awkward gaps, and jarring transitions. Some songs were just seamless loop files ripped directly from the game's Wise package. So then Mick crunched down in 29 days to make the soundtrack. He spent like 18 to 20 hour days in the studio, sleeping on the floor, away from his family, eating microwave food, all that stuff. The hardcore crunch. And he sung over 10 of the finished songs and stated to Bethesda that he needed 4 to 5 hours to finish and clean up the last 2. He made the deadline by a couple hours. Bethesda was understanding and extended the deadline, but Marty interfered, stating that he did not want these 10 songs that he finished, but wanted different ones altogether. For the entirety of the project, he was given almost no direction, and now within 5 hours of the deadline, Marty was acting as an actual director. Marty vetoed his soundtrack completely and said they would go in with Chad's version, and Mick couldn't do anything about it because he's a contractor. Mick confirmed with id that he met his contractual obligations, and he was finally paid in his full contract and the amount and his on-time bonus. Mick was never allowed to listen to the soundtrack before the release.
That part is wild to me. Like, to this day, I still don't really understand the logic behind that one.
So, then he heard the soundtrack, and he described it as he was in utter shock. Hearing the album for the first time, my heart sank. Alongside my direct contributions were an additional 47 tracks made by poorly editing together bits and pieces taken from my in-game score. They exhibited the same thoughtless disregard for basic music fundamentals that plagued the preliminary edits id Software showed me a week earlier. In some cases, they've actually been made worse. The majority had been made by stitching together multiple audio files without even a crossfade to cover the edit point, resulting in hard cuts, volume spikes, and digital clipping. Many of these splice points were made freehand, off-grid, leading to awkward transitions and abrupt tempo changes. If you put the soundtrack that you got with the collector's edition into your computer and you pull up the files, you will see blatant spaces in between tracks where there's just nothing going on and hard splicing. I know, Dangerous, you wanted to talk about how your friend found like a very specific moment in the game where it sounded super weird.
Yeah, so there's a spot in the game very early on where they introduce what's called the Repertorium. It's a kind of an off-campaign spot where you can kind of practice your combat, so to speak. And when you're in the Repertorium, they play BFG Division, which we heard during the 2016 run. It's the kind of the iconic track of 2016. And a buddy of mine who is a pianist by trade, he I believe is a pianist for his church as well as his day job, if I'm not mistaken. He very astutely aware of musical composition and arrangement, and he started playing. And he speedruns Doom 2016, and so he started speedrunning. He started playing Doom Eternal at release, and when they got to the Repertorium, he was listening to it. And he goes, "It's BFG Division, but it's not right. Something's wrong here." And I don't remember if he looked at the audio via spectrogram or if what exactly he did, but he basically pointed out, I goofed to skip up, so I'm going to void out. Very nice. Let's try that again. He basically looked at the audio and he realized that all of the audio had been compressed so heavily that it was like one big line of audio. Like there was no dynamic range anymore in it, and it's the same track, but for whatever reason, when they did the arrangement, they just compressed the hell out of it. Pun very much intended. And that's the reason why, if you listen to BFG Division in this game, it sounds much more wrong than it should. I was wondering why that wasn't showing up. And yeah, that was one of the kind of notable things about just how sideways everything went when it came to the development of this game's audio and soundtrack and all that. Was just having something as iconic as BFG Division be screwed up. It's like, you can't screw that part up, guys. That's criminal.
So it brings me to my next point. Before the soundtrack was even finished and the game came out, he realized that while he was working on the soundtrack, he realized that as the game was coming out, there was more music in the game than he had released to them. And that there was 5 hours of music he had produced for the game were being used, and he was only paid for half of it. The problem was that he was sending over the files to the audio team, which was led by Chad Mossholder, and it was up to them to decide what they would do with the files from there. These extra 2.5 hours contained rejected tracks, mock-up, and demos that Mick was under the impression that they would not be used, but they ended up in the game and promotional material, which he was not getting paid for. So, to backtrack a little bit, he was fully paid up with what he knew before the soundtrack in November 2019 after not getting paid for 11 months. And then he had to make the OST immediately afterwards. And he signed a contract, and the contract stated that he would get paid for the previous game that he had been paid for, as well as doing the OST and if he could do it on time, and then he would get a bonus if he could do it on time. So that's what we're looking at right now. So as he's listening through the OST and he sees these like terrible edits, there was some other examples. He said, I was stunned at the ineptitude and couldn't believe what I was hearing. Track after track was full of real obvious technical faults, mistakes, and errors resulting from careless editing. It's an example of one of the most successful songs in Dune's, what you're talking about, BFG Division, barely makes an appearance. For some reason, the song was butchered to make 3 tracks from the Dune Eternal soundtrack. So the BFG Division turned into 3 songs on the official soundtrack. Track You Can't Just Shoot a Hole in the Surface of Mars starts with 2 separate sections playing directly on top of each other, but they're out of sync. The track soon falls apart with a series of stunningly shoddy edits, completely out of time, until the main BFG Division riff makes a sudden 8-bar appearance before the track ends abruptly. He stated, id Software would have had more success if they simply recorded the Wise output. The fact that so many YouTubers have been able to construct far better representations of the Doom Eternal score using the exact method proves the point. So once again, shout out to all the YouTubers who have put the good soundtrack onto YouTube because it's not available anywhere else to listen to. They have pulled the good songs. They have made them good quality. So if you ever want to listen to the soundtrack, it's all on YouTube. There's a couple people that have it up. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate you.
Alrighty. So before we jump back into the story, we have started Super Gore Nest. Now, this is a level that it's one of my favorites for sure in this game, but it's the one that has, it's not my favorite song on this on the soundtrack, I say with heavy quotations, but it is a really good track. Like I'm not saying this track doesn't go hard, because this track goes hard.
It's a heavily covered track.
Yeah, for sure. And this is a lot of people's favorite track, because just the guitar is so it's crunchy. So we'll let that play for a bit, and then we'll jump into it. I didn't want to play through Cultist Base and Doom Hunter Base too much, because that track is not my favorite, and there's better tracks to feature. I know. Oh, there you are. And there we go.
Yeah.
That should be the last one.
Yeah, just enough time to show like the loop through. It's awesome.
Yeah, and if we rush through, if we rush through the fight too quickly, we wouldn't get that full loop. So
yes,
and then I love that little transition point right there.
All right. Okay. So a big kicker on when the soundtrack released was that each track was credited evenly as Mick Gordon and Chad Mossholder. I love that his name is Chad too. He states like he doesn't want to blame this guy, but it's like, and that like Marty was the problem for everything. He was just doing his job, and I know he had a good relationship with him in the previous game, but it was literally just like this guy. I know he's more of like a sound designer, didn't even know like basic editing, or like, I don't know if he was like told to do a bad job on purpose just to like oust Mick Gordon. Like, you know, it's crazy to me that like somebody in the industry doesn't even know how to do like basic crossfade editing for something, especially if it's something that your name is going to be on. And then it's something like you want to do a good job pretty much because like, I mean, 2016 was so award winning too. You want to get your name out there as well. It baffles me. It really, really does. So we're not going to get to it, but Final Sand, the last song for the last boss in the game, like the first half of it, was actually a rough idea mock-up that he just made for a cutscene that wasn't finished at all. The exact demo file was immediately rejected. In fact, Chad was part of the panel that rejected it, but he included the file in the album, enlisting himself as co-artist despite having absolutely nothing to do with it. More importantly, this song specifically is based on a melody written by Bobby Price, the composer of Doom 2, who hasn't been credited anywhere in the album. So id Software never paid him for this demo, which was produced in good faith and not bid for public release. Within hours of the OST release, bad press was emerging, and Marty demanded a Skype call with Mick so they could put out a joint statement to the press. At this point, Mick had fulfilled his obligations with Bethesda. He made sure he got paid on time, he got his bonus, he was about to just say, okay, goodbye. But then Marty called him up and said, we have to make a statement together about this. Mick was hesitant because he was no longer under contract and didn't want to be berated by Marty. And Marty assured him his only intention was to have a positive outcome, so he took the call. In response, basically Marty yelled at him for half the time, said it was his fault. Quote unquote, he said in response, Marty explained he was trying to protect us all by his choices, specifically talking about how he didn't have any information about the consumer laws and his deadline. And Mick was talking about how if he had more time, then it would have been better, but you only gave me a month. And so Marty said he was trying to protect everyone. And he said, but now, because Mick had not fallen in line, he was on his own. And as soon as people come after us, we come after you, is what Marty said. Mick had sent him receipts in this meeting, which was the first time he was addressing face-to-face many issues that he had, and Marty outright refused to acknowledge them. At one point, he tried to get Chad into the chat with them to back Marty up, but he couldn't be reached. Mick stated that he thinks this would be a great way to show the public how to amicably work a situation out together. Marty agreed, and he asked Mick not to say anything publicly, and Marty stated that he would draft a statement and get it to him the next day. But it never came. Because then a week later, Marty posted on Reddit. So, immediately, Mick brought in some lawyers, and ZeniMax quickly tried to blame him. Then Mick stated that that Marty was in breach of the id contract because he was not being paid for the 2.5 hours of additional music. ZeniMax immediately buckled and came back with a quote-unquote insulting amount for a settlement, and they suggested that he would get paid what he owed, but he would have to make a new polished Doom Eternal soundtrack. In the next round of settlement discussions, they offered Mick a 6-figure sum, where Mick would take all the blame, and Marty would never have to delete his Reddit post, and if he was ever asked in the future about the soundtrack, he would legally have to respond with no comment, and he would never be allowed to publicly criticize any ZeniMax product for life.
This is the heart of the nest.
Mick's final offer was that ZeniMax pay him the money he's owed. Marty takes down his open letter, and Mick produces the OST. He said this was the best counter offer he could make. In fact, he was being too nice. He was then met with months of stalling. And then he decided to take matters into his own hands and contacted a moderator for the subreddit to take down the open letter post, which they did. Within 12 hours of taking it down, he was blocked by the moderator. The post was back up. He was contacted by Marty's lawyers, stating that he was greatly offended and an amicable solution could no longer be met. He states that he never quit Doom. He only quit a toxic client. So the way this ends with it right now is Mick has never received any awards for Doom Eternal's music. He has only seen them behind a glass case from a distance, and Marty collected those for himself. On November 16, 2022, about a week after Mick posted, Bethesda released a statement backing Marty, Mossholder, and everyone at the id Software team. They said they had evidence to rebut Gordon's claims and implied that his statement incited harassment and violence. And this is where we are today. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Yeah. So our last update was November 2022 on anything happening. I know that Mick has worked on other projects since then. Good for him. I feel real bad. And it makes me real sad because it's so
Dr. Hayden is just across
goes
the
hand in hand with the new Doom that Mick is part of the soundtrack. And he created this whole thing, and everyone's just gonna kind of like just like jump on his shoulders for it, which isn't the other artist's fault, but it sucks that it's literally just like this one guy who just didn't contact him and just had a problem with him, didn't want to understand anything he had to do, and wanted Mick to take the blame for absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And it's nuts.
A combination of bureaucratic red tape and Marty seeming to be a little bit out of the loop with regard to the whole thing, but deciding that he was going to decide that he was in the loop and that he knew everything that was going on, even though it seemed like because by the time Doom Eternal rolled around, like development rolled around, he was head of the studio. So he was much more hands off. Like, I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but executive producer is a bit of a floppy term for tacitly involved somehow, but it's unclear how so. And so he was credited as executive producer because he had a big hand in how it was created and how where the funding was coming from and all that. But he was much less involved with this one. This is the reason why Hugo Martin gets credited much more heavily with creating Doom Eternal, because Hugo Martin had moved into Marty's old job from when they worked on 2016. I do not have Blood Punch active.
Yeah, it sucks that Marty's statement was taken in such like good faith when he posted it, and because Mick didn't come out with anything afterwards because he immediately like went to legal counsel. Because it's very rare that like an executive will address like very specific issues and tell you a story. So that's why people believed it for a very long time, which is so unfortunate. So now, I mean, like, I guess in the year of our Lord 2024, we know better from developers,
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just really unfortunate. And like some of the tracks in this, like Meat Hook is probably my favorite track from both soundtracks. Like, it kicks so much. I'm very much more attracted to like the slower, riffier, groovier metal that happens in this, as opposed to like the very fast paced. And it's unfortunate. Like, I had a really good time playing this game when it came out. I really enjoyed it. I was having a great time, and I just thought the soundtrack wasn't out yet. And lo and behold, all this time later, it's a big problem, and it's so sad.
And I paid for the collector's edition, and I still haven't gotten my my soundtrack yet.
You didn't get the digital?
Oh my god. That got a little chaotic. I did not get the digital soundtrack, no. I think it was available for download, but I think by the time it came out, I was just like, with
problem solving.
What? Why is the door not opening? You have to kill the main. I forgot. Yeah. I don't speedrun this game. I have a good number of hours in it, but I don't actually speedrun it officially. Okay, so we're gonna just kill everything because apparently there's a specific arena that I want to get to in here because it's just so good. Like, easily my favorite arena in the entire game. I'm stuck. Stop. There we go. That's what we're going for.
Attention.
So this is probably my favorite level in the game, both for the fact that personally, I just think it's the best designed level, but also this has my favorite song between both soundtracks. I think overall, I like the Doom 16 soundtrack a little bit more as a whole, but this track is stanky. I love this track so much because that guitar is just kicks.
It's my favorite one too. It is, and it's used in all the promo, and it's my favorite one. So think about how far you get into the game before you hear it too. Like, I
know they make you work for it, but man, you get paid once you do.
So I have some super fun factoids. So I've been a big fan of Bring Me Horizon for a very long time, since like their first album, and so they played a bunch of Doom Eternal in 2020 to the point where they contacted McGorgan to collaborate with them on their last album they made, which was it's crazy. So he worked on a song called Parasite, which came out as a single, and you can hear it so much, specifically like the stuff that we were talking about, which is like making the like feedback loop and all these sounds and making them very percussive, and you hear it so much in that. But this Meathook song reminds me so much of other Bring Me Horizon songs, and so then you listen. So that was the original song they were collaborating on, and then he has credits for the entire rest of the album, and I was like, I 100% hear it, but I didn't realize that until I read this, and it's so cool, and I'm so happy he got like more work with people and got to collaborate, and he's doing a bunch more stuff. He's doing a lot more metal music now. I think they were talking about he released some stuff with a band called Three Teeth. So yeah, it's crazy. His whole story reminds me so much of just like the crap that Trent Reznor has gone through with just trying to get his ideas out and being somebody that's like ahead of the curve in so many different things, like, just getting shot down, trying to do something so different that people don't understand, just so much stuff, but like ultimately having success on their own. So, yeah.
This is like one of the best parts of the song right here is this. And whee! There's one specific arena that I'm trying to get to because it's easily my favorite in the entire game. I was a great ballista boost. And then I'm just going to do the normal way because the speedrun strat way is the timing's a little tight on it. So I'm going to actually punch the box. Ooh, I'm out of ammo. No, I'm not. Why did the gun not fire? That was weird. And one thing strat-wise that is kind of funny about how this game is balanced is, this little mod right here is called the D-Blade. And one of the funny things about an early build of the game was that you could charge it up much faster. Like it was a lot more broken of a mod. And so they purposefully like slowed down the charge and they stole my shot. Nice. And because they were like, well, if it was just players were just deblading everywhere, and that was going to completely ruin the combat. So they slowed it down. They debuffed it a lot, and it's still like easily the most powerful mod. And the funny thing about this particular mod, I'm stuck, is that in the 100% speed run, they use this thing everywhere. So like, he wanted to debuff it, but it's still like easily the strongest mod out of any of the other mods in the run or in the game, and so they use it all the time in the run. And I just thought that was a really funny thing where Hugo was like, we don't want the player deblading everywhere, and then 100% runners said, hold my beer.
Yeah, it just sucks. Like, I mean, I'm happy we're showing off this level. This is by far my favorite song in the whole soundtrack. Like, it kicks so hard, and so much the soundtrack has this element to it where it's just like they learned from the last game and they change things up a bit, and everything feels a little bit more dynamic, everything feels a little bit more spaced out, so everything hits a little bit harder in different places, which I think is so cool that you have one soundtrack that's a bit more compressed, it's a bit more grindy, a bit more bit crushed, and then this one is just very like rhythmic, chuggy, open spaces, a little bit lower. Like, I love it. It's so up my alley. And it sucks that like you have chunks and pieces of this game that are scrapped pieces of music that's thrown in there, and like I can't imagine picking up a game after you're finished with it and just being like, this was a demo I threw out, I can't believe this is in here. And just being like mad, but then also like mildly embarrassed if you're like a creator that like you didn't have time to finish the product. You know, like if he had known about any of this stuff at any communication, then this wouldn't have happened. So it's just really sad and unfortunate. And then obviously, we're going back into it again. Clearly, everything that happened post was a product of crunch and just having no more budget and coming up with a BS excuse as to why they couldn't give him more time. It was literally because they ran out of money, and you know he was gonna have to give a bunch of money back if they didn't finish the soundtrack. It's nuts. This is not the first time that like somebody has announced somebody was working on something live at a show either. Like,
yeah, that's true. Which is unfortunate because it's like it's a highlight of just how bad bureaucracy can be in some of these gaming companies sometimes, where it's like you would think you would want to tell the person who's working on it what the plan is, and yet they just didn't do that for whatever odd reason. And hopefully, I'm hoping that in this whole thing, Marty and ZeniMax kind of learned their lesson. But I'm an optimist, so we'll see how that plays out. Ooh, almost got a full yeet hook, but I just goofed it a little bit there at the end. So, and just in case you all are curious, yes, we are going to play through Blood Swamps. So, in case anyone's worried about that, we are going to play through Blood Swamps. But I do want to get to this one arena in here because it's so good. And one thing that actually is really cool about this level, how they design the score for this one is they never really turn off the combat music so much. They dial it down. Like right now, it's dialed down, but there's still like this sense of urgency in the whole thing. Like it's sort of like, gamer, hurry up! Like you got to move it. This is urgent. And since I don't speedrun this and I don't play it extremely often, I forget where to go sometimes. But you hear that like, you're not supposed to be in here. He followed me all the way into the elevator. And then I think it's coming up right. This is not the right spot. It is through here.
yeah, I don't know why. It's like I've always been in like the alternative scene. I grew up with a lot of metalcore, a lot of people in metalcore bands around me, and you know, very accustomed to like people like making music very similar to each other. And then I also really like made up sounds and alien noises and stuff. So like the soundtrack hits so well for me. It hits so many points that I love, which is literally just these weird high squealy alien made up noises, and then just fantastic like different instrumentation made to gameplay. Like it hits so well for me, and it's so cool that this very specific soundtrack has influenced the metal scene even more. Like, it's so cool that it goes back into that. That literally it's just like this cycle of like, okay, like really into this, and then you're gonna have another composer who's like, well, I'm really into like this band's music, who like, I don't know, brought in a 9-string guitar afterwards to like make this sound, and then they make a soundtrack based off of that. And it's so cool how like music feeds back into like soundtrack and feeds back into each other. And it's really good to see like that on a bigger stage.
Yeah, this was the fight that like I remember getting in here and that guitar hit, and I was like, oh, like you just feel powerful in this particular fight. And I love the design of this arena as well. Like this is probably my most favorite designed arena.
Yeah, going up the jumps. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of had wished they added this into battle mode as an arena to play in. It's a little confined for that. It wouldn't have worked well, but they could have like, I don't know, built it out a little bit more or whatever. But they ended up making all different maps for battle mode, which was fine. But
yeah, I spent a lot of time doing the challenge for this one too. Just remember running out of ammo, trying not to get hit. Yep. I was on this for a couple hours, honestly, like trying to find the best route for everything first time around. And man, is it so fun to just go shooting off each one, and then once you get really good, like backing into all the lifts, you just feel so awesome.
Yep. And the thing that I thought really funny about the DLC. Oh no. Oh no. I'm stuck. Purple goo, why? Okay, we're gonna have to. This is the non-speedrun way, but I got stuck.
You're alive.
I'm alive, yes, but I also turned the difficulty down to easy because it's a music showcase. We're not speedrunning here. Who cares? Yes, this is the right way. So yeah. I think that's probably pretty good for this level. We can move on to the next one. So, but yeah, I wanted to play that particular fight because it's just that fight's so good. I love that fight so much. Because when that guitar hits, it's so good.
Yeah, I wasn't so. It's interesting because like for the level design, I wasn't so mad that I was stuck on doing the challenge part for so long. It was more that I wanted to get it correct. You know.
Yeah. So this is this is the level that created the most memes in the game by far. There's like 3 memes that came out of this this particular level, but I remember when we watched this at QuakeCon 2019 and just dying laughing at this part right here.
What? Why?
Grabs the card. It just makes me laugh so much. But again, the same thing they do so well on every level. They build and they build and they build, and they set it up so well. It was a little strange how you start, because once you get in control in this level, you're just like in this really narrow hallway, and it was a little odd. I thought it was kind of strange that they started you in like this narrow hallway as opposed to outside where the big fight was happening. More of a gameplay design decision, but yeah, they do a great job again in this track of building it up. And Mars Core is highly regarded as one of the best tracks on the album, for sure.
The power source
definitely a good one.
BFG 10,000 should be of interest to you as well.
And Kara, did you know? I mean, you've told us a lot of Doom Eternal facts so far in this showcase, but did you know that the BFG 10,000 is firing? Get used to it, chat. You're gonna hear it a lot.
BFG 10,000 is firing.
And then One very cool design choice was the revamped Baron of Hell. I love the design of the Baron in the new one. There were some design choices that I like enemy-wise that I thought were misfires.
Yeah,
but then
so you're
there
talking
were some
about like the
great
Hell Knights
changes.
having eyes. I
that was such
definitely
a weird
agree with
one.
the Barons, and seeing like pieces of them fall off too is like or leg up. It's so cool. It shows that like how like hard they are killed too.
Yeah, and one thing that was kind of cool was there was fan art that came out for this game after it came out, because obviously there was, and somebody did a mashup of the Baron from Doom 16 and Doom Eternal. They kind of combined them together to make this like half fleshy, half fiery Baron, and it was cool. It was a cool looking design. I love that bit of fan art. Chat, the BFG 10,000 is firing. Did you know this? Don't worry, she'll warn you again 50 more times.
Warning, BFG 10,000 is firing.
This is almost as big of a meme as Urdax. The longer he's on Earth, the stronger he becomes. And it gets everyone, yeah.
Warning, BFG.
Man, I didn't even talk about the heavy metal choir. I'm so stupid. I think we like
we gotta talk about that.
Yeah, we totally skipped it. Okay.
So let's talk about that now.
Yeah. Okay. So specifically when you're doing part of the ancient parts, where you go back.
Ancient gods.
Yes. They really wanted to do a like have it's literally called a heavy metal choir. They wanted a lot of chanting to happen. So he said, why the heck not? Let's get a bunch of heavy metal singers together and record them doing this like chant in another language. And so they did an open call in Texas, and they went to a recording studio, and they had 22 different artists come in, just say, hey, you want to be on the soundtrack? Like, they had 4 hours to record everything. The behind the scenes is all on YouTube. It's wicked cool. They moodlit the whole thing, and half the vocalists who showed up were women, and it was really, really cool. People of all different levels. I have some credits from like memorable people. They have Lindsay Ray from The Anchor. We have James Dorton from Black Crown Initiative, Wesley Merritt from The World I Knew, Natalie Kahn from Wild Speaker. We got Sven de Call from Aborted. We got Tony Campos from Static X Ministry, and then we got Nature Gang. Sorry, it's so bad. Gang Cabal. He was actually from a he did like Mongolian metal, and they used him a lot for like the rest of the soundtrack, which was really cool. So there was like some of the people that showed up, and Mick said it was his favorite part about making the soundtrack, because it was the first time that we got like 22 vocalists in a room to do this, and it shows up a lot in like there's a couple tracks that it shows up on. Anyways, yeah.
Someone in chat said, I almost wonder if this part was at one point going to have a mechanic where you need to hide from the shockwave of the blast. The Slayer? Hide? Are you out of your mind? The Slayer does not hide from anything. The Slayer, he is the one who knocks.
I like your pink mod on the gun too.
Thank you. Yeah. So there was, when the game first released, there was they had like battle mode series going on where if you did weeklies, then you got different skins for the Slayers and the demons and the guns. And this one is called the Big Friendly Gun, because what else would BFG stand for? Certainly not anything else. But yeah, now we have the BFG. The BFG trick does not work in this game. They patched that out, which I have no ammo for. Yeah, this being New Game Plus, things are going to be a little bit different here. And I think you have to kill everything in here. Yeah. And that's it. Cool. Alrighty.
The facility escape pods to get down to the Mars core, but we have
I think we got through. I think we got through most of the big important parts for this one. So this is probably a good spot to move on. We're not going to play through a whole lot more of the main campaign before we move on to the Ancient Gods, but there is one particular level that we do have to play through in the main campaign because we just talked about the Quar, the Metal Quar. We have to play through the Gladiator fight because this is one of the tracks where they had. It's very orchestral. It's very. It's like a very big, epic. What's the word for it? Almost like a Quar ballad of sorts, and they chant in a different language. This is really cool.
This is featuring the heavy metal choir.
Yeah. And then I forget, they didn't feature them in any other track.
No, I think it's just in Gladiator, and then there's also there's also definitely like they hired somebody. I find specifics on it to do like the low growling and chanting in like a couple other tracks.
I offer you a great powerful one.
Forgot there's a big fat invisible wall there. You can't jump over that. Because of course there is. Can you get to it from here? You can. So this level is meant to be like a big fat lore dump. This is where you learn about the origin of the Slayer and some of the background stuff of things, and it's a very polarizing part of the game's design because some people did not like the monstrous lore dump that they had in this game, because 2016 just has enough story to hang the whole game together so that you know where you're going, what you're doing. And in this game, they were like, there's a backstory and you need to know about it. And I think that's where one of the game's shortcomings was the attempt at dumping so much lore and backstory into things, and like having this whole religion in there. And then also you have a guy who is the CEO of a company who is like this leader of this cult, and then also this AI made by this company is some ethereal god, and like some of this stuff just makes absolutely no sense. So and very odd decisions made there. We'll skip this cutscene though because this is the Gladiator. Whoa, he jumped right into that. But here you go. I'll be quiet so you can listen to the soundtrack here. If you can't hear what they're saying, they're chanting Karan Tuk, which is the Maker language, meaning rip and tear. As a nice little tie into the backing theme of the whole thing. I was too annoyed at the boss's mechanics. Yeah, the stoplight format for some of the boss fights in this game was definitely a contention point for a lot of people, myself included. Yeah, I was not a big fan of that design choice. Yeah, I love that thumpy synth on every measure. Doom, doom, doom. Ah, so good. Yeah, that is can't actually skip or exit out of the level once you start the cutscene. So,
I love this. Okay, yeah. Quickly, we're on the menu, the end of level music, which we showed for 2 seconds. I love the end of level music. It keeps the tension up. It keeps it it's so good. Anyways, so you want to get to the
music
DLC.
in the back half of the game. Yeah, the music in the back half of the game is I don't think is good personally. So we're not going to showcase it today, and we do have to consider time as a factor here. So we are going to jump into playing through some of the Ancient Gods stuff. So we'll start with UAC Atlantica. This was probably my favorite level in all of the DLC levels. And then they unfortunately start you out with a really goofy loadout here. So I need to switch. Wait, no, that's already equipped. Remote det is. I can never remember which one's which here. This is supposed to be Heat Blast. Sword Blade's already on. Cool. Oh, and then the runes. They start you out with such a goofy loadout. Makes no sense. Oh, this one's already set. Interesting. I think this is the New Game Plus file. So, and then this level's kind of funny because they. Oops, I have the wrong mod on for this one. This fight's kind of funny because there was, I guess, complaints of levels too hard, yada yada. I say that as I die, of course. And so they actually retuned the level later on to be a little bit easier.
Okay.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna just turn the difficulty down. It's a showcase, not a speedrun. Even if it were a speedrun, we'd be playing easy mode anyway.
Yeah.
That was
just
that was
kind
special.
of stopped being animated.
I love ragdoll physics. Don't you love ragdoll physics? I made him. Right, we need the blue card. been a little bit since I played the tag levels. No, don't climb that.
So you were talking about how the DLC has a different composer that you're a big fan of. So what are the elements that you really appreciate about it?
Yeah, so one thing that Holschult, I think does really well, so because, you know, the whole thing with Mick Gordon happened and, you know, that whole unfortunate situation, when they not redid, but when they switched to a different composer for the Ancient Gods, they went with Andrew Holschult, who, very, very well-respected composer for a lot of shooter titles. A lot of people put him right up there with Mick Gordon, and I would definitely agree. A very, very talented artist in his own right. And people were saying, like, it's not going to be the same without Mick. And, man, I tell you, I don't think Holschult did anywhere near bad enough of a job to justify saying that it's not the same without Mick. I think it's just as good as what Mick probably would have done for it, because Holschult's just really all that talented. And what's funny is that a lot of what Holschult does really well is also what Mick does really well. He can come up with these really, really good, catchy riffs that are very easily adaptable to like all these different levels. Like they're almost seamless in a weird way, and they work really well. I have no blood punch. Oh, there we go. And yeah, I think Holschult is great. He did the soundtrack for another game that I speedrun called Proteus, and that is I remember when they announced that he was going to be the composer for that one, people flipped because they were like, yes, because he's just that good. Yeah,
so since it definitely had all the assets too, you can tell that it's the same kind of tones and stuff that they're using.
Yeah.
It's just, like what you write out of them. So it's good that they kept like that level. I mean, it's weird and unfortunate because technically like it now owns all of this, so they can give it to their new person to do. But it makes it really consistent, so it's not like all over the place.
Yeah. And that was a big thing that he wanted to do, was he wanted to, whoa, I got launched forward. That was strange. He wanted to keep a very consistent kind of sound to what Mick would have done. Like you could tell it was like, okay, I'm gonna do my thing, but I'm gonna try to not mimic the sound that Mick would do, but stick within the kind of the realm of what the Doom soundtrack ought to be. And I think he nailed that balance perfectly. Yeah, like you can hear this guitar sounds a lot like kind of what we heard in Super Gore Nest. And I will admit, I've played the master level for this a whole bunch of times, so I keep forgetting what enemies are going to show up in which arenas, because I was like, is that the base level or the master level?
Yeah.
So it's a surprise for everyone.
Yeah, how far have you pushed yourself with Doom Eternal?
I never did go back to beat it on Ultra Nightmare. Like I speed ran 16 on Ultra Nightmare. But Eternal, I never actually. I started trying to do it on Ultra Nightmare, and I ran into an issue where they have an issue of invincible enemies that sometimes happen in this game, and I got to Super Gore Nest, and the same exact Mancubus on 2 different runs was bugged and was invincible, and
I would be so frustrated. And
I was that very much like by itself kind of locked in my very complicated feelings about this game. I'll just say, because there's things about this game I really love, but there's things about this game I am very vocally against, and yeah,
you were definitely talking about the lore dump, and it's like when I got to that point, I was just like, did I miss something? Was this like on top of some lore that I missed at some point?
The pacing in that spot was so strange, because you just came out of this big fight right before it, and then Lord
like,
up. And it's like,
yeah,
what?
I don't mind like a change of pace. Like, in fact, like the change of the different areas is something I really appreciate. And then like having like a home base to go to too. Like, I absolutely love like, you know, like I'm a big collector in games too. So like collecting all the stuff and seeing all your toys and your ship, and I absolutely love. And then of course they have like, you know, the challenge battle pass stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I'm getting new skins for my guns. If I do a good job, you got it. And I was just like, oh, I get to play more? Okay. But what you're saying was if your game is bugged and they want you to play it on this super spicy, hardcore, holy crap, deathless run, they're not even putting in the effort of making sure you can do this, so why would you put in the effort? And that's definitely like, that's very sad. So kudos to all the players out there that are able to do the mode. Like, good for you. That's a lot of frustration that I would feel exactly the way you did, which I would just be like, if you're not gonna put the effort in, then why am I?
Yeah, and it wasn't that I couldn't do it. Like I knew that if I eventually like bang my head against it enough, I could do it, because I did it in 2016. And I mean, I remember playing this one day on stream, and Darve, who is my co-collaborator with the 100% Classic run, he went in and he was like, wow, I actually had no idea you were so proficient at the combat in Eternal, because the combat loop is very different in this game compared to 16. A lot of people that only played it once or don't have a super long-winded knowledge of the combat loop and the combat structure in both games. The combat loop is actually very different. You have to kind of do things differently, and that was very much by design, I think. I think to some degree, id Software had watched the speedrun for 2016 and said, okay, we're going to change some things around. Yeah. Because we broke the combat loop a bit too much, I think, for them in 16. So they were like, we're going to do things different next time. I don't have any proof of that, but I sort of get that vibe a little bit. And
yeah, definitely. Thank you for showing them off back to back. It really shows the difference between the two that you often don't get to see, especially in like on GDQ in the marathon setting too, like doing them back to back. It's really cool to show off like the progression of a game and the choices you make and things they improved on, things they didn't, all that fun stuff. And and kudos to you for being able to like change how you play and the way you feel. Like, I know you're not as familiar with this. Like,
it took a minute to get used to.
Yeah, you might have a world record on 2016, but Eternal is gonna test you.
Yeah, I mean, Eternal's. It's funny. There's a lot of mixed opinions about which game is harder. A lot of people said 2016 was harder. I personally think Eternal's harder. I struggled a lot more with this game with like getting kind of comfortable with the combat loop and feeling like I was kind of primed and ready for each combat encounter. I always felt myself going like, crap, I gotta go to the next one. And like, not in like a I dread this kind of way, but like, am I ready for this next fight kind of way? And with 16, there were spots where I definitely did feel that way, but I felt a lot more like I can handle whatever's gonna come at me. But this game is so much more mechanically complex than 16, and 16 on its own is a mechanically complex game. I mean, it's got a freaking RPG upgrade system for crying out loud. And this game just stacks on like 10 more mechanics, and you have to be able to balance all of them. And that was the part that I struggled with the most when I was first getting into it. But I was comforted by this awesome soundtrack that we have associated with it. So
tying
it back to Face the Music.
It's nice, but it sucks that the only really good way to listen to it is by playing it, and getting the full scope of it. So like, if you want to listen to the soundtrack, you gotta play it. Like I said, there are really good YouTube rips for the soundtrack that focuses a lot on the good stuff. But I guess it's gonna be like one of those things that, like, in the history of game development, this is just one of those things that happened. And it sucks because it's like, it's still kind of happening. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they're still in like legal talks right now about a lot of stuff. So
I'm pretty sure they are. But the one thing that I think is kind of a positive to take away from all this, because I try to be an optimist as much as I can, because why would you ever not want to be one? And I think one thing that's nice is this is sort of a cautionary tale of what happens when not even just game development, but just like business dealings in general break down. And like, this is a good lesson for, I think, a lot of people to kind of take from, you know, how can we learn from this, you know, kind of awful relationship that went south, and what can we learn and do better next time? And I mean, I teach communication by trade as my day job, so like I'm
You're very passionate about this subject.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm very passionate about this subject just in general, and so seeing how this whole thing unfolded so poorly, and I was just sitting there going, I know how they could have done it better, and I'm powerless to get them to kind of to listen to me about it. So yeah, that was something I think that's good to take away from the whole thing, and I hope we see improvement in the future. Oh yeah, this is
yeah.
the most polarizing enemy of the whole game. Yeah, we didn't see him in the main game because I skipped that part, but
he's a spooky.
Also, the coolest looking enemy they have ever made in any Doom game. And if you know who Edward Bosco is, he was the voice of Has-Been Hotel. Chat, help me. What's his character in Has-Been Hotel? Oh God. My brain is short-circuiting. Somebody help me. He was played a character in Has-Been Hotel, and that character's got this really high soprano, and then you hear him in this game, and he's like, "You were never one of us." Yeah, the radio demon, whatever his name was. Yeah. Excuse me.
So, what's your favorite part about the DLC?
Ooh, probably the soundtrack to Blood Swamps. That's probably one of the better ones. Alistor, thank you. That was gonna drive me crazy. Alistor.
So this will be the last.
I love you.
Yeah, this will be the last one we show off. So
yeah, this will be the last one because we are coming up on time. But Blood Swamps definitely has. I think this was probably the most highly well-regarded track in both of the DLCs. And yeah, I'm gonna shut up for a little while we listen to this banger.
Not sure what Dr. Hayden, the Seraphim, has requested of us. You.
Well, that just means you get to listen to it again.
The worm was too spicy for you.
The difficulty went back to Nightmare. No wonder.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, that's a lot of different. That was a lot of damage I just took.
Yeah, blame it on the menu.
I am, and I did.
Dr. Hayden,
you can't stop me.
The Seraphim has requested of us. You.
There we go.
Revenge.
And one thing I actually really like about this this track as well, that's very specific to me, because I speedrun Proteus. This track actually has probably the most composition similarity to Proteus, to also to work on that game. Oh my goodness. You. There we go. That guy is like the one enemy that can really stress me out in this game. This part is so good right here. It's like, wah, wah. It's like this really haunting, dark melody. Yeah. There you are. Whoa. Do you? Oh, I think they changed something here. Did they force you to kill him? So it used to be that you could just skip right past that, but I think they added a gate later on.
Yeah, sick.
I didn't realize they did that change, or if they didn't, then I'm just very, very bad at the game. Which is also a plausible conclusion we can draw. Ooh, forgot about you.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Well, it's one Mancubus divided by 2.
Dead?
Yeah, dead. That's the correct answer. Is dead. Oh, also, this has my least favorite boss fight in.
According to our data,
second least favorite boss fight in both games. The fight you do right here. This is this was it. So I think we'll wrap it there. So we'll call time right now. Time. And yeah, that was Doom 16 and Doom Eternal, both of the modern Doom games. Well, 2 of 3, because Doom VFR technically counts, even though that was a VR game that was very short. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you appreciated the music composition for it. And you know, it wasn't a speed run technically, but this show isn't about speed runs. It's about music and games. And this is a franchise I love to pieces. And I'm really happy that you approached me and asked me to feature this, because I love these games so much. Doom 16 is my favorite shooter of all time, hands down. And I love it. Even though I don't really run it a lot anymore, it will always have a special place in my heart right here, this spot right here, dedicated to Doom 16. So yeah, I hope you appreciated it, and thank you all for watching.
Yeah, and any other shout outs for yourself?
Oh yeah, I should shout out some of the people in the Doom community that helped get us here. Definitely got to shout out Darve. He was my co-collaborator with the Doom 16 Hundo's speedrun. Before he showed up, it was just me, and then he showed up, and we got to work together. He's a good buddy of mine, and I'm super happy I get to work with him. And we riff on each other all the time, which is a lot of fun. I got to shout out Bite Me, who was the one who originally introduced me to Twitch and got me streaming in the first place. So literally, I'm here only because of him. Red Warrior, my friend who we talked about earlier, was the one who found the very compressed audio in the BFG division. Good buddy of mine as well. Big shout outs to Red. I got to shout out Henny, Sabuline Horizon, Prisoner, Knight. I'm forgetting names now. I'm sorry, but if you were in the Doom community, you know who you are. And yeah, if you want to follow me, I'm at twitch.tv/dangerous. I do a lot. I'm a variety speedrunner now. I sort of do a little bit of everything. I mostly still do first-person shooters. It's kind of my bread and butter, but I sort of do a variety of different things now. And I stream fairly frequently. So if you want to follow me there, twitch.tv/dangerous. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed Face the Music. And look forward to more Hotfix coming up tomorrow.
Yeah. Speaking of coming up tomorrow, we actually have Going Places, Grudge Match, and Parallel Universe. They all start at 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So make sure you check those out. Grudge Match is always insane. Brasentia puts on a crazy show of people that he knows so many people, and he gets them to fight. It's crazy. Just a couple more announcements. We have prize submissions are live for Awesome Games Done Quick 2024. If you are crafty or have a unique gaming prize that you would like to submit, go to gamesdonequick.com for more info, and submissions close January 8th. And then you can go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix to learn about our shows and see what's coming up this week. But yeah, thank you, Dangerous. Thank you for being here. I had so much fun.
Thank you.
I mean, you couldn't see me for most of the show, but I was definitely like, for 2016, I was definitely like grin on my face, head banging along, having a great time. So I really appreciate that.
I heard it in your tone, so yeah.
Yeah, thank you for being here, and I'll see everybody
Thank
soon.
you.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.